thing live. Going over to Dreamcaster here. Good morning, everybody. Stars drawing. There we are. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna turn on some sound. Get a little ready to go. Sound in here. There we go. Alright. Looking at my levels here, similar ones from Friday. We took that trade off the high. That was our trade of the day on Friday. We looked to rotate down to the overnight low, which was ended up being in the middle of this range here. We moved it now to the new overnight low. Blue line is previous session low down here. It's this level there. And then we have previous session highs above that high there, but that's at 569, and we'll deal with that if it gets up there. I'm kind of certain that it's not going to get up there today, but if it does, that means that we have got some bullish momentum going into the day. Just kind of talking through my thoughts of this open. This was pre-market. That is the high around 3 o'clock this morning. They got that sell-off right level to level, top of the level to the bottom of that level there. Really, however, we are opening in my major zones like we spoke. If you read through my my weekly write-up, I go through how pretty much last week we got this rally on that Friday, and we sat in this range from Monday and Tuesday into Wednesday, and we broke out late Tuesday into Wednesday and rallied to all-time highs. And then we returned once we kind of tried it again as we got some economic data for Thursday and Friday, right back into the range, and we're opening right in that range again as well. So if we can't quite, like, so on an intraday basis, I look for this kind of setup for a short, right? I look for a long run up or a hard move to a zone. I look for what you would consider a double top, I guess. It's not quite a double top, but I look for a lower high off of a major structure zone and a rejection. And then I tend to look for the third lower high after a breakdown. So like almost like a breakout of a liquidity zone, which would seem to be in this area here, right? I don't want to actually draw it, but in this zone there, right? Around that 640, we came back to it and then didn't make new highs. I don't have delta on here or anything like that, but you would expect to see a diminishing delta as this kind of rolls over. So in my intraday setup, this is pretty much a short, right, almost every time. And now we're getting a fourth confirmation that is another lower high. We're holding this zone here. If you do get a failure, maybe let's see above, into this zone here, try to fail a breakout and then roll back over into the zone, that could give you a further flush, and a potential breakdown of that 17, we'll call it the 435 level there. If you crack that, you can clean up this whole big move there and maybe even beyond. We do have some pretty important news this week. We have a lot of earnings. We have, let's see here, I'll put it over here. We have our earnings for the week. I explain all this in the link. I put the link in the Tradecaster, and I also put it in the YouTube in the bio of the video. So if you go to the live bio, you can click on the link and you can get my write-up for the week. I do it every Sunday night. So this is what I have here. Economic data tomorrow. We have the JOLTS. Wednesday we have the Fed decision, which we're expecting to get no rate cut, but we want to see what that press conference says afterwards about guidance moving forward. Then we got Thursday, we have ISM manufacturing, and Friday we have non-farm. So a lot of good information this week, red folded, but on top of that we have earnings that are pretty impactful for the NASDAQ. So tomorrow after the bell we got AMD, Microsoft, and Alphabet, which is all the Googles. And on Thursday we have Amazon, Apple, and Meta. And then in the middle there, you got some banks, you got some, Pfizer and some of those guys that are kind of
move the market around, but more so the Nasdaq. Those are the big three, right? AMD, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, and Meta. AMD is gonna give you some guidance on the AI on the chip area, and then also kind of push along what Nvidia does, and that's kind of along there. So I have all that written up. If you are watching and you do notice that I have started a coffee company, and the link is in here, it's in the bio, day trading coffee company. Use my name here, Policing Pips, and you get 15% off if you do order. So we're just going to watch this level here for today, see if we can get to hold below this 560 to 580 zone, rotate to the downside, and then find ourselves down at the bottom end of the range. That's pretty much what I'm looking at. If we break and hold above, then you can see that this has been invalidated, and we're going to look to rotate back to the high side, but we're going to play it as we see it. Let me set up my trade copier. We are currently only looking for $295-ish for that combine to be finished. So looking for that there. We got 1 minute to open. Let's see what we got going on. Let's watch the opening range and see where we end up deciding. We are, like I said, middle of that range there. In here, if we get up to like 560 to 580, that's what I'm looking at. So 560 to 580, maybe around that range. If we, best case scenario, we clean up that opening high, that overnight high, get a little action there, and then we can rotate down and make that low. If we break out, like if we, so you can see this level here acting as support, resistance here, overnight and active resistance. So if we break down from here, then we could continue on. So if we get a breakdown, retest and rotate down, and then watch that as well. So be mindful, have a plan, and stick to it here. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to look to see if we can get around these levels, but I got to get to some of these levels first. Oh, coasters. So we are kind of just still sitting right in that range there. Monday morning, you're not looking to get yourself into trouble really fast, but we are going to be sort of aggressive. Just be mindful of that. If you do look at the 30 minutes, you got the S&Ps still holding above that 49.16 level. That's been important for the past few weeks, past few sessions, right? We use that as kind of a guide here. NASDAQ, not quite at any of those levels, but that 585, like we said there, and then below we have 513. That 513 is pretty important also. So just be mindful of that as far as the 30 minute is concerned. There's that push to the downside. We did break the bottom end of the opening range. It's a tight opening range, so realistically, if you do get a break either way, 70 ticks, you could limit your risk, but we are kind of pushing down pretty hard here. S&Ps is pushing down. I'm going to get this Apple and Microsoft up here. Apple disappeared. There we go. Apple tried to break the bottom end of the overnight session there. So pre-market lows, it kind of flushed it. Microsoft also pushing down here. Selling off right away. Opened with the gap, looking to close the gap. And Nvidia also pushing down. So let's see. Everything's kind of selling off. Apple did reject that bottom end there. Didn't break down totally. And the NASDAQ also kind of looking to push back up to the upside there. So we are pushing to the high end. Like I said, I do kind of want to see maybe that the overnight high get cleaned up if we want to flush, because that would really kind of give us some more confluence in this range sort of being the rejection point. And then we did get some overnight highs there. That was some inventory that we might want to get rid of before we do actually take that rotation to the downside. With earnings and the Fed news coming on Wednesday, I think we do stay range bound for the beginning part of the week, and then you might get your breakout stuff tomorrow after the after the AMD Google earnings. You see this thing's just sitting right in the middle of the opening range. It's really unsure which way it wants to go, so that's not something that we want to just jump right into. The S&Ps did grab down right at that 49.1650, right there, grabbed it, wicked it, and now it's pushing to the high side. So wait to see, maybe break out above the high there. It could drag the Nasdaq with it. Monday morning, people getting a slow start. Let's see what we can do here. I'm being patient, especially with a breakout to the high side. I don't trust the breakout to the upside yet. Let's get a little Instagram. Tell people we're live here. We are live here. Okay, put over my, right still, right in the middle of that opening range. Crazy. That usually doesn't last this long. Don't trust that break, that initial break. Still just kind of sitting there. We are 7 seconds away from being 5 minutes into the day here. Rejected the high of that opening range, so looking at really not much to do here at the moment. Still kind of pushing up above now. S&P's is looking to break through that high, which it just, I believe, ticked, just did a tick there at 49.2175. It's trying to break it. 49.22, just cracked it there, so it grabbed and cleaned up its little overnight high sesh there. We are still well below the overnight high on the Nasdaq, so we may look to clean up this overnight high, that green line there, before we try to sell off and stay back in the range, right? Like I said, that zone there is what I'm looking to play. As far as a rejection is concerned, I might want to clean up the high end of that overnight session to keep us, in a balanced area, just cleaning up all the overnight orders, getting everything done during market session hours. And then if we do reject this, like I said, we try to get below that 525 and rotate back to the bottom half, because Monday and Tuesday we were in this range, Thursday and Friday we were in this range. I don't see any more information until tomorrow afternoon. We have the earnings plays, and then Wednesday we have the S&P, the Fed decision. So Microsoft bouncing, Apple bouncing, Nvidia bouncing, Google trying to flush a little bit. So there's that. Google's very choppy. It's going to have earnings Tuesday, so it's probably going to stay in that range until then. Microsoft, that 406 level was important on Friday. So, and then overnight session and pre-market, it was important as well, right? Sat on top of it, broke down. So if we hold below 406, continue to the bearish side, and it has some room to go to the downside. And then Apple Friday was in this range here. Thursday it was in here, Friday it was in here, it accepted, and then it rotated back down and out. So we're gonna look at this as that's a key level there, right? You can see that's a breakout point, a resistance point, and then also now held there Friday, and then cracked it just now on that downside there. So then we're gonna look to see this thing come to the bottom of this consolidation, and then maybe into this range there. So that's what I'm looking at as far as Apple is concerned with its levels. So if we do rotate back to the high side, I'm not going to draw it up because I don't think it's, maybe it is, yeah, that's a good level there. So these are the zones that we're looking at, but just be mindful of where Apple kind of stays between. If it rotates back into here, pushes to the highs and then fades, then you could get that Nasdaq to do the same. So looks like we're approaching that high there. The only issue I have is that this was a good resistance at 580.
right? It acted as resistance, it acted as a breakdown point. So it could give us some issues on the way back down after we clean up that overnight high. So just, or we might not even get through here. We might not get past to get to the overnight high because of how much selling has been done at this level. So I'm not quite ready to front run it, especially on a Monday. Like I said, I was trying to be aggressive this week after, I adjusted my aggressiveness with my trading strategy a little bit after having that shitty day on Wednesday of that max loss that I took. Because every other day I've been kind of risk averse, battled through, we ground up our account and then we decided to do some, just being almost a little too patient, keeping ourselves out of the stuff that we normally would get in, just waiting for that one final confluence. So we're going to be aggressive. We're going to do the same thing this week. We're just not going to do it right away on Monday, right? There's times to pick and choose and be mindful of what you are, prone to do on certain days. Like Monday, I don't want to get into a hole right away and try to start digging out just because I'm trying to be aggressive on this as a fade, but because I'm still mindful of that overnight high. I'm gonna watch the tilt on Top Step, see, what kind of tilt we have up here. We're really sitting at 61% long, so it's still got enough where it's more close to 50-50. I don't find anything under 70% to be useful as far as tilt is concerned. Just gonna be watching this level. We are at the high of the value area from the overnight session. I don't take too much value in that super early in the day, especially with like a Sunday night session. It's not really that important to me. Really want this thing to get up into that 591 or at least wick 80s. Wick into here, get in here with some sort of high volume, and then kind of grab some liquidity, and then rotate back down and try and accept lower. But realistically, we are getting a delta push to the downside. Price is trying to follow, but not super heavy yet. And then, maybe this is going to be a grab of liquidity to hold above these areas and then rotate to get to that high, that overnight session. If we miss this one, I'm okay with that because I'm kind of just, like I said, Monday morning, not trying to overtrade, not trying to be super, super aggressive on that first attempt at a push to the downside on a fade, right? Because that looks like a grab of liquidity there to kind of keep us going to the high side, kept ourselves out, which was smart. You got Delta now acting in unison with price, which is good for price momentum. So if you're a momentum player, you should be able to continue on and get to that 591 level without too much issue. We are getting a little bit of divergence in the NASDAQ and the S&Ps. The S&Ps are pushing down while the NASDAQ is pushing up. So you can see S&P is getting a little heavy. It wicked its overnight high and started to rotate down. NASDAQ still hasn't quite got to our overnight high. So expect it to maybe get that one last push, that one last wick, and then to follow what the S&P did on its overnight high there, right? So that's what we're looking for. I need that to get there though. I need this price to get above there while this price continues to kind of falter and rotate. We did get the wick above 80, which I like as far as that. Like if this was just a normal trading session and it wasn't like trying to clean up some weekend inventory, then getting a wick into the inventory and then rotating down is normally like an idea there, but you can see we just wicked it and we return right back to it. Delta is congruent, so it's moving in the same way that the price is acting, so we're looking to see that probably breaks up to the upside. As far as the zones are concerned, you can see we're pushing to the high there. I know it kind of acts a little silly if it does get above here. It seems like it would invalidate this being a good zone, but I think, like I said, just because of the inventory adjustment from the overnight, that could pop and wick above that level before it does return to the downside. So that 591, 592 area that we have drawn up on our other chart, Apple, you can see resisted that urge to push above, and now we're rotating back down to the bottom of that consolidation. So while that's doing that, and Microsoft has bounced and held above 406,
and Nvidia is also ripping to the upside once again. So those are the things, Nvidia and Microsoft, that are holding us up. But a name like Apple doing what it's doing and not dragging the NASDAQ down, if any of those other names do fail, then you could expect this to continue to kind of sell off. I don't know if there's any Apple news. The game pre-market, Vision Pro era begins. You know, nothing. We have no issues getting through the bottom there. It seems like there's a lot of momentum to the downside there. So if we could get Microsoft to play along and get back below 406.18, there it is. It's pushing down. Looks like we probably gonna reject here. You're getting that little bit of negative delta there. I don't want to technically yet. You know, I don't want to miss this though. So maybe we'll take one shot quick at the short if it does crack that 969. But I would like it to get one more time back up there before we do that. So if it does get above 80, we get another type wick like that, I'm gonna put my entry there and see if we can get a piece of this. If not, we're gonna look to just kind of get this thing involved, see if we can fail the high without cleaning up the overnight high, which I was kind of trying to avoid, but really just based on the way this is acting. Well, Microsoft is now holding, Apple just flushing hard. I think Apple's going to carry us to the downside today. NASDAQ hasn't quite caught up to that Apple trade yet, so just be mindful of it. That's why I have this short entry below here at 69. We are triggered in, so let's see if the short plays from here. If we can leave these highs and never return, that would be really nice. However, kind of just holding here, holding that 69. There we go, we're getting a flush. We're only gonna stay in with one on this one. It is the first trade of the week. I'm not gonna add on to this and ruin my, by adding and getting aggressive on this short, just because I didn't trust that it's the high yet. I want this thing to continue to rotate to the downside now from here. I'm actually gonna leave this stop up above there. I need to see something on this chart. I need to get below 60. Apple is bouncing a little bit after being flushed through the lows. It'd be nice to get this thing down through 60 before moving our stop to break even. But we are pushing higher, grabbing some liquidity here. Delta did push down, make new lows. So the delta is congruent. We're still safe here with that idea. Just without this breakdown, it's not convincing me to stay in this, right? I need this thing to flush a little bit quicker, get us to VWAP. That'll be a good first little trade of the day. We're holding it. We're holding that level there. This is why I don't like to enter down there. But you gotta be patient with it. You can see that thing rejecting that 70s. Rejecting 70s. Looks like it's kind of trying to gain momentum, but Delta is pushing to the downside, so we could get the crack here now on this wick to be the final liquidity grab to flush us a little bit down towards VWAP. I'm gonna put the stop above here. I don't want to lose more than that. Let's let it play. We are rotating down. There we go. That's a good flush there. I need this thing to continue now to push. If we can get to 60, I'm going to go to break even. I wanted to flush 60. There we go. So it's a free trade. At least the first trade of the day is free. If it does just wick us here, then that's fine. I'm cool with it. But I want to have that for can't talk. Get that first trade off. Get it break even. Especially if we're going to be aggressive on a failure of a level that didn't quite reach the level that I wanted to get to. You know, like I said, I need to be a little more aggressive with some of my entries. Take them while they show themselves. I don't have to be perfect with waiting for it to get exactly to that overnight high and clean it up. So really risk free here. We're above this zone there. If we do flush 60, like I said, we should continue to the downside. Apple is just continuing to melt right down to that other level. So I really would like this thing to reject the zone that we have here and then rotate back down to the downside below 525 would be great. VWAP is that first target, so once it gets to VWAP, we are going to look to secure the top end of this. We're just about passing that combine, that 50K, so yeah, I think we actually, if I would have secured profits there, I would have passed it. I didn't secure that. I'm trying to be a little more patient with this thing to hold that 60 level to the downside. Doesn't look like it wants to do that. Probably should have trailed that there. I got a little distracted trying to see what the numbers were doing, but they were not moving, so no harm, no foul. So we're gonna put the stop above this candle here, and if we rip it, then we rip it, all good. We're gonna try and be mindful of this flush down here, right? I wanted to flush this zone. If we can get back right to that VWAP, like I said, 60 should be that flush point. All right, 60 it is. I'm above 60. 60, 50 is our stop. So if we don't get below VWAP, then we'll be out there. If we do flush VWAP, then we start to use VWAP as our rejection, our trailing stop. I will put my stop just above this zone here because I like the zone as far as that's concerned. I want this thing to flush 532, but we're probably gonna stop that at 60 beforehand. Yeah. All right, so we're at up 100 and change on that trade there. I was looking to get this thing to follow through a little bit more, but it really kind of got pretty much 2 VWAP. I gave back, 100. So like I said, I risk about the risk that I want to risk fully. So now we should, like I said, since we didn't hold 60, we could rotate back to those highs now and then see what happens, get our actual entry at that point. So that was good. Good first little trade on the day. We were patient with it. Yeah, we didn't catch the whole profit there, but look at that bounce right at that level. Didn't quite get to VWAP, didn't quite get to that opening range high. So that's where I would have then moved my stop. If we would have got to that opening range high, like I said, I would have had stops right there above, secured another, $100 on it. But we're good with this. We're gonna let this thing kind of ride out a little bit now. See if it'll get to that overnight high. If not, we make another lower high, kind of giving our confidence to the downside a bit more of a consistency. But we're going to see what Apple does now. I think now that Apple has with the bottom end of this little consolidation range here, until earnings, you're going to see it bounce around, right? You're going to see this thing get to here, maybe get up to this high and stay in here. If it does just grab some liquidity here and start to rotate above these highs and into the green, then the S&P, the Nasdaqs will probably follow as well. So we're up first trade 1 for 1 on the day. Grabbed about $150 on that trade, 145 to be exact. The combine is about 150 away from passing, so one more trade like that and we'll pass that combine. We're just trade copying from our Express account, right? I got $100,000 Express funded. I've been doing well all but one day. That kind of really skewed my P&L, but overall we're staying consistent. We're taking our profits when we can, and we're looking to just kind of keep being aggressive with these entries that we had here. Alright, 1 for 1. Let's see if we can get another good confluence here to get an entry, right? So you're seeing that Delta isn't catching up to the price, right? Price is trying to push higher, Delta is not playing along. So really that entry, our first entry there, could have acted as a second entry again here. But you get this little wedge thing, and we still have that overnight high lingering above us to hold us out of this one, for a little bit longer. I'm trying to be that aggressive on it because I don't trust that level to be like a huge line in the sand. We play with it a little bit on the overnight session. We used it as resistance here and there. Realistically,
it is a good zone. I used it as a flush point just now, but I don't know exactly that it's gonna play for another short right away. You know, if we do now get this as a high or low and crack the high, you should get a little bit of a momentum push, just purely based on Apple being at its lows and it's bouncing. Because then you're gonna look at Microsoft, who is ripping higher, and Nvidia. Oop, that's not Nvidia. Nvidia, who is kind of just bouncing around its overnight range here. But if it does break above that overnight range there, you do have some probable room to the upside there. Yeah, you do have some room up to those highs that it was at. And if AMD on tomorrow, if AMD with its earnings tomorrow does well, Nvidia should pop also. So that might give us a little bit of a break. Microsoft just sitting at highs here, just nowhere to go but up. Apparently, in its eyes, there's nothing to even compare it to. This is Microsoft's highs. So that's continuing to the upside. Apple's catching a little bit of a bounce from the bottom of its zone here. The only way we're really going to continue our push to the downside is Apple seems to be the only one that's really trying to get us to not want to play along here. It wants to continue to the downside. I don't think it does though. I think we do want to bounce and kind of range before earnings. That's really my thought on Apple here. I like the flush initially. We have been selling off since Thursday. We had a little double top action there after it made some highs, and then now it's rolling over, just kind of cleaning up some of this mess. But now you're at a huge congestion zone there. I mean, if we do continue to flush, then great, you know, that'll help our NASDAQ idea. But if we do get a bounce, kind of get up into that 191.15 level, and then Microsoft decides to stop making new highs, you know, falter a little bit, and then catch back up, maybe push back down into here after Apple gets up there, then our NASDAQ futures will play along. But those acting a little strong tells me that we shouldn't be playing short right here again, second time. You know, there's a 2 times liquidity grab here. You know, maybe if we would have took the same exact trade again, you'd grab another $100, $200. But really, I think that this is more prone to break out here. Especially, you know, you also look at the S&Ps breaking that overnight high once again and kind of holding it this time. While we're on the NASDAQ, 30-minute still didn't get to that overnight high. S&Ps did. This is Friday's, you know, key levels from Friday. Overnight high was here. Pre-market S&P, I mean NASDAQ still looking to get that wick, that above 85 and beyond. Now 69 almost now acting as if we wanted to play a breakout to just catch this little piece here. Just clean this up. You know, if you break out above 69 through this wedge, you continue to get higher lows here at volume nodes. You know, if you are a momentum breakout trader, you could look to clean up that overnight high just based on, like I said, Microsoft now a little bit faltering, but if you get Apple playing this bounce here, Apple's been the one that's the only thing that's really been pushing it down. So if it continues its bounce to that 191 level, you could get that follow through if it breaks that little wedge. If it breaks this, comes to the upside above 69, you could run the high and then look to take the short. If it holds here and continues to roll, and then Apple continues to falter, and then Microsoft fails, and Nvidia does, you know, what it does, we need to see what happens. Yeah. Microsoft failing highs. That's good. S&P's also failing that overnight high. We're right at VWAP, right at the opening range high. This is not a spot that I want to take my short at. I'm not able to limit my risk, right? The risk is too great here if you're going to take a short right through VWAP and down to the bottom end. But it is good to note that you are looking to try and push through into that opening range. If you break down that opening range now, maybe use this zone as a breakdown, break down, sort of test in here, get some consolidation and rotate through. That could be your momentum breakdown. I wasn't aggressive on this. Second time, third time entry at 69 level, just because I didn't trust how price was acting, as well as how Microsoft was ripping to new highs and Apple was bouncing. So Microsoft did recover back down to 407.60s, and Apple is continuing its bounce. Nvidia is also looking to close on the higher end of this candle here. We got 2 minutes to 9, so like I said, I don't enter anything within 5 minutes of a close of a 30-minute or an hourly, I should say. It's more of an hourly close that I don't like to make that entry on. So Apple has been the one that's been leading us. It held us, it kind of drove us down while the other 2-3 big names were pushing to the high side. So now that Apple is bouncing and the other names are faltering, we are still holding up a bit better than we could be, but that 60 level is important. So if we hold below 60, that could be that rotation to the downside on our 30-minute. I like it. I really like the short still. Just don't trust it to be the right time for it. It's all about timing. Trading it's all about levels and timing and execution, right? You could be right all the time. I'm right all the time when I talk about trades, right? If I talk about levels, I talk about zones, but my timing on Tuesday or Wednesday last week was all terrible. Tuesday and Wednesday was pretty terrible. I could be right. I was right about direction overall, but I continued my executions were poor, right? Because my timing was just a little bit off. So now with this, I don't expect it to be the exact time where it breaks yet, right? I do still think we need to clean up some of those highs, and I don't know if those equities names are going to play along well enough to get this thing to break down here. But like I said, if it does crack VWAP here and rotate to the downside, then you kind of look for a liquidity rebound, a break, retest, rotate back down to the downside. So now that's what we're going to be watching for. You are getting a little bit of a flush here. You are continuing to the downside, but you are running off of that little bit of resistance there too. So we did just close the close of the hourly candle. So we are making a new hour here. So it's a longer term close. The close for that hourly was still above that opening range. So I know we are accepting in with this 1 minute, but on the hourly, we did hold above it. So that is something to be to note, right? This could be just a liquidity grab. We could flush this even further, the bottom of value area, to look to push. So that's why I'm not taking the short right away. You still have Apple pushing up. You still have Microsoft not being able to type it, wicking this level here and maybe looking to go higher. I'm not using these names, I'm not trading them, I'm just using them as the main reason that the NASDAQ does anything, because these names are the major names within the weight of the NASDAQ 100 basket, right? The Magnificent Seven, they call it. Fuel of the day, fuel of every day here at my trading palace. Seems like we're accepting, we're rotating. There's that bottom of that value area at 540. There it is, they wicked it, so let's see if it continues. You got Delta pushing down, it is congruent, I think till around 50-50, so it could continue to the downside. There's not a lot of retail heavy short, but look at this here, grab 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times it bounced from this level. What are we getting that's going to tell us that this time it's not going to bounce, and this time it's going to be the flush? And if it is the flush, now we have to see, will it act as that resistance on the upside before we can start to short it there. We are below VWAP, which is nice. That does help our short bias. Although VWAP, you can see, was very flat, so really kind of neutral, doesn't really play much of a role yet. So let's see what happens. This initial opening range trade here was opening range. We broke and looked below it, rotated to the high, didn't quite get to the overnight high. S&Ps is trying to break down from the high there. We did reject. Look at that beautiful zone rejection, right? Wick into there, broke and held below 60, and now we're looking to rotate down. 525, 50 is that pretty key level. So Apple's now rotating down. So now we're gonna get the confluence a bit. So if we do kind of wick this, maybe push up into here, into that area, and then look to short back down through it. If we missed it, you know, we did. We did have a good, really good entry here. We took profit on that first move just to secure some profit, just because we didn't trust the highs and Apple was bouncing. We didn't quite make that overnight high again, so let's see. Can we bounce here? I need a bounce, and I need to rotate down. I need this thing to flush here and then bounce. And, you know, bounce off of 25s. If it flushes 25s, then this is a really, I mean, that was a really great trade there to have tried to hold longer. If I were to have been being aggressive on another day, not a Monday, not ready yet kind of deal, I would have left the stop above the high here and tried to add a contract. So if I would have added a second, I would have took one off here, try to leave that initial risk on, and then let this thing rotate and see how far we can rotate. Because realistically, if we did get to VWAP, we would have moved our stop to here, and then as we flush VWAP, you use VWAP as a stop, and then kind of been down in this range. Now we're breaking the low of that opening range, so we could just continue to push downside. So if you took that second entry, good on you. That was fantastic. We're really using these zones here, right there, to say that we're going to rotate probably down to the bottom end of this zone. So just be mindful of that. If we can hold this, maybe push up one more time, then break down the 525, 50 level, you should be able to clean up that overnight low. The previous session low is here. You're going to be mindful of that for a crack to the downside, right? You saw that when that broke right on the open for the new session on Sunday, we flushed right down, like very hard. So just really note that that was a huge seller right there. It did get cleaned up and rotate back to the highs. So we're gonna watch it. I want to see this thing come back up around VWAP in that zone, sort of give me a little bit of a delta divergence, and then you can rotate back down below there. And then try to get below through 525 50s. Like I said, I'm just going to try and take my aggressive entries and trail my stops kind of tight, really secure the profits on the day. I need some whippy action on the high side. Putting a link in the Tradecaster and in the YouTube. DayTradingCoffeeCompany.com. Use code POLICINGPIPS and you get 15% off. Monday. Do we recover this whole thing? Look at this thing pushing. Our idea is we return into that area around VWAP at 550.
Can I borrow a card for me?
There you go. We can get up to 550s or into this area, right? Into that yellow zone. I wanted to be in there, but you know, could not make it possible. Could just continue to sell off and just rotate to the bottom end of our range that I was mentioning. You can see Apple looking to kind of maybe do a little V bottom here, push up like I think that 191 is going to be a pretty important spot in that area. 191, you could not quite make it there to 191.10 maybe, so 10 to 15 that zone there. Look to see if Apple can hold that and then rotate down. That would be our little bit of a key to our play here. And then Microsoft did return right back down to that 406.18 breakout point. You know, like not exactly right. These are not exact levels, but they're pretty close. Especially on the equities, they act a lot more, you know, exact. Let's see here. Microsoft, if that breaks, now you could rotate. I need Apple to play up, carry us to the upside, and then have Microsoft break 406. But I think that's a bounce play there. A bounce play on Microsoft. It's been beaten. You know, these are all-time highs. So, you know, if people believe that Microsoft's going to have good earnings, this could be a bounce play. Buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. Although it did clean up these highs and then fail pretty quickly. So be mindful of that. If Apple does get to that 191.15 level, we should get our entry criteria met here. So we are coming up on VWAP, but we do have a delta confluence here. We are trying to push higher. So that is something that, you know, we played last week. We played a lot of like breakdown failure, reversal, opportunities to the other side. So if this does kind of crack this level here, you might get a hard pop. Because the S&Ps also, you can see S&Ps breaking that overnight high once again. So that is another divergence, right? Who's leading? Is the S&P leading? Are we breaking the highs here constantly, and then NASDAQ pushing lower? Which one of these is leading, right? We got S&Ps again pushing those highs. NASDAQ has that wick here, and then we're looking at this level here right at VWAP. Just be mindful of what's going on with all those indexes, and you know, you do have to be a jack of all trades here and observe these levels that you're, you know, in all these kind of vehicles here. So we just gotta be mindful of all of them. If I get a heavy tilt long, I could look to short it from there, but I don't like it yet. So my initial idea, right, was to short through there if it came into the 50s and then rotated back down. But you could see it came into the 50s and then broke it, and now it's breaking to the upside. So we do have a failed breakdown. We cleaned up this initial push to the downside. We cleaned that inventory up. Could rotate right back to the highs of today, and who knows? We could use the day as a range, right? That's just something that could happen as well. So just gonna be able to adjust as the day goes on. The trade was here. That was the good one. Really, if you could have waited one more candle and one more push to the high side, you could have took that short all the way down, but that's not the play that we were looking at, especially with the equities acting the way that they were. Apple's still pushing towards that 191.15. It's at 190. It's not quite breaking 191 again. Microsoft rotating off that area on the low, pushing back to the high side. Nvidia now trying to push to the downside. Nvidia looks like it's wicked the high, not the high, but wicked the 616 even, and now it's selling off from there. So if Microsoft fails, and if Apple could get, you know, through 191 and then rotate back down, then you could get this thing now to break. Could the breakdown be there? It could be. The risk we have is 250. Don't know if I want to use that area as the pure short. I would love to short from up here, but having that view out there is concerning to me. Maybe the flush of this candle here, because that could get my risk limited. Can't do that. Right below here. Yeah, fail view out to rotate to the downside. Although, like I said, I think this break here kind of gives it the momentum that it needs to the upside. Apple just pushed up to 195.15 right through 16. It's kind of sitting there now. What's Microsoft wicking, not making highs, and Nvidia is giving us a
little push to the downside. Microsoft, you know, wicked 407.50, and Apple pushed right there at 191.18. S&Ps are carrying us right now. If you could see this, S&Ps right there looking to push through that 49.24.50 level, and Nasdaq not playing along. So which is diverging? Who's leading? I think the S&Ps seem like it's leading, pushing to the high side. When it sold off, then we followed, but we were really more range bound here in the the Nasdaq. So watching this, seeing if this is gonna play. We are up 150, 145 on the day. The S&Ps wicked that high and now looking to kind of rotate. Apple wicked that 191.15 and now it's holding below. Microsoft pushing down, Nvidia pushing down. I want Apple to give me a little sign here. What's the Apple look like in a minute? It rejected it pretty good, 191.15. I could get this to be a failed breakout of a wedge. Failed breakout of a wedge. 60 was my important level, right? I said the bottom end of this is 60. So if you fail the 60 and hold the bottom of this little zone here, then you could get that full rotation again to the downside. But Apple now pushing up one more time, trying to hold above there. Microsoft now also pushing, Nvidia pushing a little bit, Google also bouncing off lows. So watch it, be mindful. But also if we don't get a breakout on these names, so it tried to break down. Apple had this huge flush and the Nasdaq didn't quite follow. S&Ps were holding up. But if we do reject the 191.15 level and give us that next leg down, you should get the Nasdaq to follow. But we're going to see what happens. Nasdaq is only 65% long, so it could stay congruent for a little bit. 30 minutes, you can see the wicks on the 30 minute. You can see that grab right through that liquidity zone there, looking to rotate to highs. If we fail this level, however, could be the beginning of the sell-off once again. So let's see what happens at 69s. Looks like it wants to get to 69s. Right, we failed to break down and have follow through, so we are bouncing. We grabbed some liquidity. We're rotating back to the high end of this range here. That initial breakdown was at 69. 69 was the line in the sand there. So if you do get a breakout of 69, should be with a little bit of power here. If it is a failed breakout, you'll see it get whippy. You'll see another attempt at it, and it'll hold down here. So if it just kind of grinds and holds, then that's going to be an invalidation of this level as a rejection point, and it will probably continue on to the upside. So just watch that. We did leave the opening range low again as the bottom of the day, so that could continue us to the upside again, like I said. I want to wait for this thing now to get, I'm going to flatten this. I don't want to get wicked in here on a false, stop out and then a run. So that could be a thing. But we are holding 69s, which is a still short biased, but Apple looking to crack above again. Microsoft is pushing down. Nvidia is at the high end of a range, but it's looking like it wants to break out a little bit here. Apple needs to break 191.15. I don't know if I have live data. It's really kind of delayed, so it's not. It's holding at 15. Let's see if this Delta, Delta's kind of been slowly grinding to the high side. Price has been doing the same. Haven't got any sort of real confidence telling me that this thing wants to break either way. Like I said, it could be just, my guess is range bound over the next 2 trading sessions before, after, we have the earnings post-market Tuesday, Apple, Google, and not Apple, AMD, Nvidia, no, why am I talking like that? AMD and Google, AMD,
Google, and Microsoft. These are the reporting tomorrow after hours. So like I said, you're gonna see those names kind of just bounce around a bit, I think. Get Apple to whip that 15. I guess I'll have to figure out a way. Maybe I can put like a running P&L on the screen, just so people can be following along with us while I, if they come in and out of the room, I'll figure that out. Maybe I'll pop it up there. We are up 145 on one trade. We're looking to see if we can get another a bigger, better move where we can start adding onto contracts and whatnot. So let's see. Maybe I can add. Let me add something here. We'll add a little text. Add a. Yeah, it's just images, need text. Text is email. Okay. Text will be, we are up 145. We are green. Color is going to be green. Okay. Now we'll get a little opacity here. Cool. And then we're going to shrink that up. Currently up 145.
And then we cut.
Thank you. Let's do that. We're gonna run it currently next to there. That works. So we got a running P&L on here now, just so we can adjust it as we go. Kind of give you guys a little bit of a better feel of what's going on here. One trade, so 69s is holding. I do believe that we will probably get another little bit of a liquidity grab above it. We want to see a delta divergence here. If we do try to push this high again at 69 and we wick it, maybe wick this high here at 70 and the delta doesn't play along, then we should be looking to rotate down to the downside once again. Nasdaq's looking to try and get a little heavy long on the micros, like right at 60%, nothing crazy, but look, Delta's playing along. We're looking to get our setup here at 69s. Could be a thing here. Apple is selling off. I don't know about Microsoft, but the S&Ps is cooking to the upside. Microsoft looking a little heavy, and Nvidia just broke its high, and it wicked it, and now it's kind of carrying it up. So we may not get our divergence here, just purely based on Apple and Microsoft failing key levels. I want this thing to give me that one more push to the high side. I didn't get it, and like I said, we're going to be a little more aggressive on these entries and zones, but look at the S&Ps. You tell me that the S&P is pushing these highs continuously and sort of being the leader on the day, giving me the hesitancy, right? I don't know if it's going to be leading or if it's not lagging, but right now we are breaking on Nvidia. I mean on the Nasdaq. Trying to be aggressive, but also trying to be smart about it. Just there's that flush. That was a really hard push to the downside. Let's see what's going on here now. That was a liquidity grab. If it's going to bounce from here, it may bounce pretty quickly. If not, we're going to get a hard flush to the downside continuation here. Apple is still breaking. Microsoft is looking to push that low at 406.18, and Nvidia also failed that high. So this should be the sell-off that you were looking. Everybody was looking for, really. That I was looking for. It just didn't quite get into that at that level there. That's where I really wanted to get. I wanted to get that one more push. We were talking about being more aggressive. I didn't get into it. That's our trade. Every time, that's what we're looking for. Unfortunately, I didn't get involved, and we missed out on that one there. So we're gonna look to see if we can hold now the idea from before, where we kind of come back into here
and then we can fail this level and rotate to the downside. Oh man, that 69 level acted as a good resistance, man. That S&P is really pushing those highs, kept me out of that trade, and that was unfortunate. Usually the S&P and the NASDAQ act in confluence, and the S&Ps were really leading, pushing hard to the upside, while I was getting distracted. That 525 is important. 525 all night held. So a crack of that is definitely going to lead to more selling. You don't want to be chasing this down, but there is super heavy. Apple is still being really heavy. If we can't get that bounce into there, you're not going to get an entry for me, because Microsoft is bouncing off that 406.18 level, so that could get us that little bit of a pop to that level to get it short again. But Apple, like I said, rotated right off of 191.15. That was a great. You saw me draw this up live. If you didn't see me, if you didn't see me draw this up, you go back earlier in the stream, you can see it. I drew up these levels, pure price action, zones. I believe since Apple is reporting earnings later in the week, you're not going to get a huge dump or breakout. You're going to act in between some of these zones. So just be mindful. Even if it does break back to 191.95, these were just kind of areas of interest. That's still within its safe range here, right? We've been selling off constantly, so they may be looking to get better prices before earnings. So it could rotate down a bit more, but that lack of follow through there, we're right at this here, middle of that range. So we got to see what happens from there to get ourselves an entry here. Apple's been leading, so I do watch it. Microsoft holding that 406.18 is important for us here as well. So if we bounce from here and get a good pop, then that won't help our trade. Nvidia has been selling off from that high, so we should continue to get the sell side pressure. I hate selling through the low. I'm not really a great momentum breakout type trader. I like to fade the failures of those breakdowns, so that's what I like to do. I am going to start working on adding some of these plays into my repertoire, because I do believe they do have a lot of good push to them, and I could get my risk off kind of quick with it, especially if I'm going to add, let's say if we do 2 contracts on this, you can get one off and then kind of play with that stop. S&P's is failing that 49.1650 level. That's been important for the past few trading sessions, so see if we do get a bounce from there. The 25 level was really important, like I said, so it's going to act as resistance. Looking to try and get this thing to play along with us a little bit. Maybe we get one more lower high here, rotation to the high side. That could be our little final test of this 50 level. Hold below VWAP this time, and then rotate like we had before, below this zone and through. That's what I'm waiting to be patient on. Patience pays here. Patience pays. So we're looking to continue this thing to maybe give us a bounce. Hold that VWAP as resistance, not trading VWAP as a level, but really if it does hold below now, a lower high, looking to break down the 25, but we need that help from Apple, who is bouncing from its current level, right? Apple's bouncing. Microsoft trying to fail that level there, and Nvidia failed the highs. So Apple giving us that little bounce could give us that entry, and then Microsoft breaking the low could help us. If we can get this a little bit higher, I need this thing to get a little bit higher. Like I said, it's a Monday. I'm trying to be more patient. The aggressiveness will come during the week, but I don't want to get run over early here.
I want this thing to come up, use VWAP as a, maybe wick it hard, and then we can rotate down and get our sell from here. Although I'm gonna set this there now. I'm gonna stop above there, and I want to see what Microsoft does. If it does bounce here, then we shouldn't get ticked in. If it doesn't bounce, if it fails, then we should. Yeah, we're ticked in now. Apple is still bouncing. I'm gonna be a little bit aggressive with this Microsoft trying to break this level. I think Microsoft continuing to break and Nvidia also continuing to break helps this trade be more of a short continuation here from below VWAP. Apple, though, I need to continue to break, but it's not playing along. And Microsoft needs to play here. See, this is where I wait for that confluence normally to wick VWAP. This is where I'll end up getting stopped on this kind of trade here, because instead of waiting for my confluence of the wick, I'll get stopped out on the wick and then rotate down. So, but here we go. We're gonna look to sell a second there, and then we're gonna get one off, hopefully at 25 or in front around 25. That's what I want to happen. We're gonna get stopped out. We get stopped out. We're flat now. We're down 115. We're gonna adjust that P&L. And the color here. Okay. There's that, what we were looking for initially. We're gonna look to see if we can get this thing to play along with us now that happened. Like I said, I'd probably get stopped out there because of what I was waiting for to happen and front running it because I was trying to be aggressive. But look at Microsoft breaking that level at 406.18. That should give us a push to the downside. But we're bouncing now, so maybe not. Apple continuing, Nvidia continuing. I want Nvidia to fail there. I want Microsoft to fail here. But, we took our shot at it. It's fine to get stopped out because we have plenty of bullets in the gun. The 69 level is going to be very important for us, so we're going to continue to watch it. One good trade away. How is that negative 230? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, yes, it does make sense. I'm going to flatten this entry here because that's invalidated at the moment. $191.15. So that 60 level, see if that 60 level acts as an important level here. Apple looking to break 191.15. Microsoft looking to continue to be bid up from here. And Nvidia looking hopefully to fail this high. And you got that zone there, right? It's been acting pretty good. Lower high, wick of that high, rotate. If we could hold below 60, then that should continue to validate our idea here. Yeah, let's see, can we rotate back through VWAP? We can take a shot here at this 60 failure. Only if it fails hard quick do I want to be involved. Apple, I'm moving this over to that side. Can we hold that 60? Get me that flush to the downside. Like I said, I want to add. I want to take profit down at that wick there for one. Stop loss above here. Let's see how this plays. Below that 45 candle there. Taking our second shot at it. We're not risking a ton here. We're risking to the high of this move. There's that flush. Hopefully it wasn't a liquidity grab. See if we can get that push down now through VWAP that was really you saw that thing speed up. So there was an order there. There's something there that was important to note. So we're looking to add on to this if it continues to push to the downside. Hold 60 is that rejection of our level above. Going to move this stop here. We are involved in 2 now. We got 2 on. We're going to use the VWAP as a stop. Hopefully we can get 1 off quick. Looking to go to break even. We are break even now, so it's a free trade. Let's see if we can get 1 off down here. I'm going to use this as the first take profit. Take 1 off there at the value area low. Look at that flush. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Continue. Get me 1 off. Get 1 off there. Get 1 off. Come on. Fill me. Fill me on this. Fill me. There we go. We filled on 1. So now everything else is pure take profits. Probably past that combine on this trade here. I'm going to secure a little bit more of this there at that 39.50 level. So we are pretty deep in the money at the moment. Let's see if we can continue this flush to downside. Apple is failing. Microsoft failed to the downside, breaking down. Nvidia also breaking down from the highs. So this could be a really, really good flush. If we could break 25, we could expect this thing to really melt off down to that previous session low. But I am tight with my stop because you could get a really good bounce from 25 as well. Just based on some of these equities names not totally wanting to totally melt, right? I don't think Microsoft really wants to melt hard yet. And Apple is playing along though on that sell, right? So Apple is playing along. We are short. We have secured most profits here. You know, we took 1 contract off. We have 1 runner on at the moment. I don't want this thing to come back and give back a lot of this. So I am going to probably get stopped out on a bounce of this and rotate back to the high side there. We're out on that trade. We are total profit at the moment, up 345. Pretty good trade there. And we just passed the 50K combine. So we are going to stop the trade copier. Trade copier, we're going to stop that. No need for it for the rest of the day. We are done. We are now funded another 50K. So really, really nice there. Plus, like I said, we're at plus 345 on the day here. So that is a great start to the week so far. Very happy with the way we executed there. Going to change that P&L to a solid plus 345. Oh, that's an equal sign, man. I gotta do better. Positive 345. We're gonna take that color back to green on the day. Let's go, baby. We're gonna do light green because we like that money. If you like that trade, throw me a like, throw me a, the analysis on there. We're able to be aggressive on our entries. We're being aggressive on our exits, on our trails. Yes, this thing is probably going to continue to melt, but like I said, we're starting the week off right. We're securing profits as we see them, and that 25 level is going to act as some pretty key resistance here. If it flushes it, it's going to flush it hard. However, it has held a lot on the overnight, a lot here, 3 times now. We are kind of wedging now. Let's be mindful of this wedge. And then just look for another entry here. Be mindful. This bottom end here could fall out. But you also have to understand that with these names getting earnings this week, you're going to probably get some range-bound action. Range-bound action in there. Microsoft does look like it wants to roll, which is interesting because it's holding below 406. Apple is rotating to try and fade back down to that bottom end of that range there. And Nvidia doesn't want to make new highs, so it did a little double top here, and then it's rotating back to the bottom end of this range. To get the follow through that you want on the NASDAQ, you need this to want to break through that 614 level. You're going to need Microsoft to want to rotate all the way back down the lows, and you need to see Apple rotate to 189.97. That'll get you the continued follow through, at least to a previous session low and beyond. But if these names don't play along, you could get this wedge to continue on until it wedges out really all the way to here. I mean, it's all about timing, like I said, and I think potentially this wasn't where we were going to get the break yet. So I like I said, I took my profit there. I'm glad I ended up trailing because I would have ended up getting stopped at my liquidity zone anyway. So we took off as much as we were going to take off there, unless we trailed down to where we took that first profit and maybe secured another 100.
maybe a little less than $100. So like I'm willing to risk 100 more to make, if it is the time that it cracks and melts, that we're involved, right? So we're gonna look for another one, see if we can get a good entry at the high end for a short. Not looking to short the low here. I'm not a momentum breakout trader. It is a great time if it does crack that 25 for it to roll, at least to that previous session low. But like I said, be mindful of all this chop. Be mindful of these equities holding their levels. Apple is bouncing again. Microsoft also looking to try and reclaim that 406.18, 406.20 level. So you watch that, and Nvidia is at the very bottom end here. It needs to crack this, but with everything going on, AMD having earnings tomorrow could keep you in that range as well. It's, you know, that Soxol sector is going to be kind of choppy for now, until AMD is that sister of Nvidia as far as, you know, its little brother as AMD. Because AMD breaking the lows here, it's not convincing to me. You know, did somebody get early earnings news? You know, we have all this liquidity down here. It's just a cheaper version. I have AMD chips and I've used them in the past. I like them a lot for one of my computer builds. This current computer has an Nvidia chip in it, Nvidia processor as well. So, you know, I actually think I have both. I think I have an Nvidia video card and I have a AMD Ryzen chip in this computer. So I like both. They're good companies. So just be mindful that AMD earnings is going to possibly, and the guidance, right, is going to affect it. But Microsoft reclaiming that 406.18, possibly looking to reject it, could give you that secondary entry here, right? Like look at this wedge, see if it continues to play, see if it wants to clean up that overnight high. Then you might get that, if you get a failed breakout of a high, you know, and get another double top type deal, then I may look to take my big short from there. So we're going to be patient, we're going to watch. We are at 9:40. You know, we're up 3:45. I only stream till 11, so can't be mad at what, you know, the profit on the day so far. We're doing good, baby. Welcome here, Frias. Big Ray in the house. Love it. Love Tradecaster. It's giving us the opportunity to stream, be with traders, kind of really develop a community of people who really want to learn this, who are committed to this craft, and have a place for us to all kind of hang out. You know, I like it, and I definitely like the way we're able to bounce some ideas off of each other. I know Ray texts me, Kramer texts me. You know, some of these guys have my number, so I do some interacting. You might see me pull out my phone most of the time talking to traders. So even though you don't see some of the interactions in the chat, we are interacting, we are getting some good stuff here. The best way to fuel your pre-market trading routine, Day Trading Coffee Company, grab yourself a mug, go over to the link. If you use my code, you get 15% off your order, Policing Pips. You could use my code, it is my company, so I will know that you got it. And if you have any issues, you can always hit me up on here or email me or hit me up on Instagram, share it, like it, you know, go back and watch the stream, see why we entered, why we didn't, if we didn't enter, just watch what we're doing here. I am fueled by coffee. I love coffee. Day Trading Coffee Company is purely a trading community where I want to fuel traders with coffee, get them coffee direct to their door, get, you know, something that traders can relate to. We have excellent roasts, and a portion of all profits is going to go to funding traders. You know, in the beginning, when we're not, you know, we're growing, we're going to look to buy people combines, and then moving forward in the future, we're going to look to grab, you know, maybe some cash accounts, you know, as we grow to bigger and better levels. So I want to do big giveaways around the holiday times, you know, with bigger accounts. But as the year goes on, maybe quarterly, even monthly, depending on the earnings, we're going to give away, hopefully partner with Top Step, do something where we can get people involved, get people accounts, get people funded. I just got funded again. So I got 2 fully funded accounts. You can see my Express count here. I'm funded 100K. That's what I've been trading, leading my copier. And I have a 50K now that I just passed today. So we are trying to leverage our funding. We're trying to leverage getting payouts here, and then we're going to use the coffee company to help get people into combines, get people passed and funded, and really try and give people the opportunity to become traders and grow their passion, because I know how passionate I am about the analysis and understanding how markets work, and I think that having people get funded that can't is going to be a really helpful thing that this company is going to provide to people, especially if I continue to trade well. That coffee company is going to just be another way to get people involved in the streams and in funding and all that stuff. So we provide education in there. Everything is free. I'm not going to charge for courses. It's all coffee and sweatshirts and t-shirts and mugs and all that. So like I said, use code POLICINGPIPS, use the link in the bio and in the chats, and you'll be able to get 15%. Watching this market reject VWAP again, but staying within this wedge. Not a lot of real big moves here, so I'm glad we were able to capitalize on our ad there. That failure of 60, the reason I use 60, right? You don't see 60 drawn up here, but in this zone, right? The bottom end of my liquidity zone here is 60. So I expect if it's gonna come in here and grab some orders and rotate back down, I wanna play that 60 level and then use whatever that wick is as the stop, and then try to rotate down. That 525 is pretty strong resistance, so if we do crack that, you could expect the rotation down to those lows. Microsoft trying to play along, but it is holding for now that 406.20, 406.18 level. If it does hold here and crack, then you're going to expect our NQ to push up also. S&Ps holding that 49.16 once again. We went down, grabbed some liquidity, popped right back above it, and here's our 30-minute Nasdaq just kind of hanging around here in this range. S&Ps led us to the upside, held us up, and then Nasdaq got a little dump there and dragged everything down. So they're kind of acting opposite today a bit. Now we're trying to act in confluence and see, who's going to be the leader for the rest of the day. I only trade till 11, like I said. I'm on here right now, 9:45. Still not really convinced that this breakdown is going to happen quite yet. It could, and if we do get the break, it could be hard. However, like we said, with the earnings and the news events for this week, the red folder events with the JOLTS tomorrow, Fed interest rate decision on Wednesday, and the non-farms, I believe, on Friday, we will be flush full of news, plus all of the big Magnificent Seven earnings that you're going to get with Google, Microsoft, Apple, AMD. These names are really going to start to whip the market around. So like I said, today and tomorrow, up until the earnings, you're going to get some range-bound type action like we're seeing, because the market doesn't have the information that it needs to pick a direction. Do we want to run to all-time highs right now? Why would we do that if we're going to maybe anticipate some slower forward guidance in some of these other companies? They could blow out earnings, but also that forward guidance and big earnings could lead the Fed to decide that they're going to hold rates higher for longer, right? So there's, good news is bad news, and bad news is good news, and maybe tomorrow good news is good news. The market does what it wants when it wants. So you have to be able to understand what the information is going to provide you, and then what kind of move you may anticipate, and then how the price actually acts, and see if they all kind of align, and that's when you take your trade. If we go to the FedWatch tool, I'm going to go to CME FedWatch, and we're going to go right to that. So the meeting for this week, we've been talking about it over the past 2 weeks. There has not been any anticipation that the cut was going to come in this meeting, right? So if we do get no cut, the only thing that's going to really spook the market on the actual decision itself is if we raise rates. If Powell comes in and says we're raising a quarter of a point, sorry about talking about cuts, that would just really throw a wrench in the works. I'm sure the market would really sell off on that. You're going to get a hold here. obviously 96% priced in, that there's a hold in January. What's going to be moving is that press conference afterwards, because what we have here is a 50-50 price priced in that there's going to be a cut come March. And if there's any inkling or hint or talk where Powell says, I know we've been talking about cutting rates, but we feel that with the strength of the market, that yada yada yada, now we're going to hold rates a little higher for a little longer, maybe we don't anticipate a cut in March. You get that kind of rhetoric in that news conference post rate release, you're going to see this thing completely sell off. Yes, we may rebound, only because everybody who's been pricing in these rate cuts has been also watching these numbers and kind of may anticipate that rhetoric come out come January meeting on Wednesday, right? So if you do get that, you may get that initial sell-off, but you might get that rebound, kind of just wait and see. You know, a lot of those news events are algo-driven bounces and whatnot. So we're not looking to completely take, you know, that as just, oh, it's going to sell off forever from there. Because, like I said, you're going to get that rhetoric, you're going to get the algo initial pop, move, recovery, and then you're going to get everything to flatten out again. And then as we approach that meeting, then you're going to start to see where price wants to be. Maybe it's going to start to price in that there's not going to be a cut. It might start to sell off. So that may keep us from pushing these highs, even with good news from, say, Apple, AMD, Microsoft. If all these companies do, you know, guide well, you might get that initial pop, and those companies may start to rally, but also they may start to roll over, knowing that with good guidance comes higher rates for longer, and that kind of hurts company profits and stuff like that. So just be mindful of that. That's what I like to look for. These are the things that I'm doing in my head while I type up these notes, right? I have this shared. It's in the Tradecaster. It's also in the YouTube bio. So if you do want, or you're not a Tradecaster member yet, I suggest you head over to Tradecaster. Hands down, way better than, you know, go searching through YouTube for all these traders and, you know, trying to get my stuff. Everything is organized well in Tradecaster, so you'll be able to find it pretty easily in the alerts. But if you want this, I could also start setting up a newsletter. If you guys want to send me your emails, head over to, you know, send me an email at daytradingcoffeeco.com, or go over to my website, hit contact us. You could send me an email, say you want to get involved in our newsletters. I do the education portion sort of over there as well. So you'll get newsletters about coffee and about day trading, so that's kind of nice. But if you like that kind of analysis, like I said, it's very simple. You don't need a crazy, you know, everybody talks about journaling, understanding, you know. I think a lot of these people have the right idea with the journaling, but when it comes down to it, the journal is up to you to continue to do as far as like the way you want to do it. You don't need an expensive software to tell you what your profit and loss is and all that stuff. If you pull up a free Google document and type up your notes, you know, start the week, and then, you know, what I used to do, I used to add, like, I traded this on Friday, I traded this on Monday, this is what I did, these are the trades I did. If it's a really big setup and it's something that I think would benefit me long term, yeah, I'll take a screenshot of it. This was a really good sell off, and I'll add it to my plan here. And I'll kind of adjust notes and news as they come in this so people can see it. But my journal is my YouTube, my stream. So as I'm talking out trades, as I tell my emotions for the week, you can see it on there. And I go back and I watch some of these videos and I watch what I was talking about. And that's my journal, right? You don't need to even stream. You don't have to stream. You could just download OBS or download Loom or use those softwares, free softwares. Record yourself while you're trading. You don't have to record your face. You can just record your screen, hear yourself talk out some trades, just kind of get a feel for what you're doing. So then you can go back and watch it, and then, you know, after the fact, you could say, hey, this is what I was thinking on at that point. Here's my journaling, you know, what I think about it now and how I probably can make adjustments, right? So you don't need expensive software. You don't need all those things. Yes, they are nice. I do like some of them. I have used a few of them in the past, and I think that they are helpful, except they are pricey. And, you know, every dollar counts when it comes to, you know, especially a lot of smaller accounts.
A lot of people don't have a ton of money to be spending on just the journaling software. So grab yourself a Google Doc, free Google Doc. Grab yourself OBS, record yourself while you're trading. You know, not everybody streams. Not everybody likes to stream. Sorry, my microphone's been far, so if I've been quiet, I was doing some photography in here. I moved it out of the way. I'll lower my voice a bit. So far, so good on the day. We're pretty happy with the running P&L of 345. You can see it down here if you don't trust my... Well, actually you can't. I'm blocking it, my video, but yeah. 345. I added a little simple, crude little... Maybe I'll work on that tonight after I'm done with my stream. The P&L box, make it a little more fancy for you so you can see. But I just threw it on there so we can be a little more transparent on what we're doing trade by trade, what our running P&L is, and all of that. But really, I like to always show this too, my account performance for the day. This is where we're at right now. Currently sitting up 345. We're very happy with the executions we took. We took one loss, which was one shot at a return back to this zone here. We took that quick get stopped out at VWAP, but then we took the short once it came back and confirmed us, and that's where we got our, you know, we take our quick loss there, but then we make up for it and then some with our proper entry, right? So there's our P&L for the day so far, looking good. We are going to look for another trade. We are going to stream until 11 today. It's 5 minutes to 10, so no trades for me right now. 10 o'clock, price action will start to move, so just be mindful of that. With the 10 o'clock hour comes the close of London and all that, so just, you know, this is where we could see a little bit more movement. Just checking some of these things here that I got going on. I get a lot of spam messages on Instagram. Don't appreciate that. Add to my story. Accept. Primary. Cool. I just being mindful. I kind of try to distract myself also around these times, right? So at the top of every hour within 5 minutes, I really don't like to enter trades. I don't like to get myself involved if it's going to whip around at the top of the hour, stop me out and then move direction. If I get a really A+ setup and I can't avoid it, then I have to take it, and it is what it is if I get stopped out on that. This is not an A+ setup. This is currently price just staying within a really tight range at a liquidity zone. That really, prior to earnings, prior to a Fed meeting, you probably will get like a false breakout, false breakdown, choppy session, and you just got to be mindful of what the sessions are going to do and have a plan for what, you know, for this type of scenario, right? You know, yes, we could capitalize on like a false breakout and I rotate to the downside now if that's what happens, or, you know, play the breakout, but I'm not a breakout kind of guy, right? I've mentioned it a few times. Like I say, I fade extremes. So I'm going to look at that. So I distract myself a little bit during these hours with just catching up on some text and stuff. Some business. So there's that failure of that high. Could rotate to downside, but like I said, my rules state don't enter within 5 minutes of an hourly close. I'm gonna text my Frias. I meant to answer this other guy. I apologize for being distracted within 3 minutes of the hourly close, especially the 10 o'clock close is one of my most important closes. So I don't like to, like I said, enter. Just waiting. Good idea, Ray. Front runner position on YM. I like that you're switching over to the Dow Jones here and taking some executions over there, Ray. That's cool. Like I said, I like to have a few different instruments that I trade, but I'm so in tune currently with the NASDAQ. Yeah, I did the same. I wanted to be aggressive on it. Yeah, I like it. To see if this 25 level cracks now that it's 10 o'clock. 48 seconds to 10. So we'll see. Like I said, you may right now get a whip into here. 10 o'clock comes and you pop off to the highs. Or 10 o'clock comes, we hold this level. 10 o'clock comes, you rotate through. Then, you get that price action. But just wait and see. Like 30 seconds, you're going to start to see price speed up because of this close. It's really a very important level. It's an important level, an important time of day. So 4, 3, 2, 1. Flush of the 25. Do we get it here at 10? Nope, we're holding. But you can see price starting to speed up, right? You're getting a lot of that, people closing their orders from that London session. There's a lot of big banks over there. So positions are starting to flood closed. And then now you're getting a lot of that price action from the U.S. session, U.S. being the only thing that's kind of open. So you're going to get true direction from U.S. players here. See if that 25 level holds or if it does break, right? Because that is the low of the day so far. Right there, that the low is technically 526. But I think if we can get through that 25, then you do get that flush to the downside currently. Waiting to see what, Microsoft is holding 406.18, 406.20. Look at that chart looking pretty much the same, right? So, but I don't know if I trust that as not being, Apple is rolling. Could look to get to that 189 level again. Microsoft could pop that 406.20 and then could be off to the races from there. That could just be a liquidity grab. Like I said, this level is very, very strong. That could have just been the 10 o'clock whip, grab some liquidity, and now rotate right back to that zone. Expect this to be a range-bound few days, and your follow-through on your breakouts are probably less likely to play along, right? So there's your failed break of 25. A lot of these failed breaks, I think, will play into a rotation. So that's something that I'm going to be looking for now. We're up 345 on the day. I'm still looking for a really good setup here to continue this. We did get a full candle close on the S&Ps below 49.1650, which has been a pretty important level. Looking back here, we wick it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times before skyrocketing. We held below it here a few days, a few candles. And then we've been just playing with it here. Now that we've held below it though on a good session, good rotation to the downside, this could just continue now and push us to lows, kind of clean up this gap here again. So we're back on our NASDAQ our chart. Plus 345 on the day. Let's see if we can get a bit more out of this. Squeeze a little bit more out of it. It's a headband Monday. I'm normally a hat guy, but headbands today. If we hold the bottom here, we should get that continuation to flush to the downside. But if it does fail, then maybe we can see this thing rotate back to the highs, back into this range of 60s, just based on the liquidity grab below there. And, something like NVIDIA and I want Microsoft up here. I want Microsoft to, if we're going to rotate, it's got to hold above that. See, now you got that good pop on Microsoft. If it breaks there, then you got the confirmation that says that this is probably going to, and you can limit your downside there. I mean, yes, with a full contract, that's still a bit more risk than I'm willing to take, but you can still have an out to the downside if you decide that this is going to be a rotation back to the highs because of all these other names and because of being a range bound day and because we're failing a breakdown of a key zone. You're looking at these things and you have to have a plan for it. Apple's still looking to break down, but we are in a choppy area there, so watch for that. I think Microsoft pushing up and Nvidia at the bottom end of this little range could help us pop a bit if Apple fails this breakdown again. Based on it being a range bound type day, this failed breakdown could get you that rotation back to close to 69. Yeah, I'm looking to see if we can get this thing to kind of probably rough. If this is not going to be a good breakdown here, if you get a little bit of a delta divergence, you try to push lows one more time, try to push 25s maybe one more time, and your delta doesn't play along, we don't make new lows, we may look to see this thing rotate back as a failed breakdown. You might not even get that. You might just get this as the liquidity grab here right to 19 and rotate up through the highs just purely on those numbers. Seeing if I get a free reset on the Top Step 100th episode, whatever, from last week where I did that. So if I get a free reset, then I'm going to add one more combine onto this. You can only have 3 combines going at once. And until then, we're going to trade our 2 funded accounts. I'm not looking to spend money if I don't have to. If I can get a free reset, that's cool. And that's something, like I said, with the Day Trading Coffee Company, what we're looking to do is try and get a portion of all of our profits to go back to traders, to funding accounts, getting people into combines, paying for those accounts, getting people who are underfunded, who really don't even want to try and spend the $50, $60, $100 on a combine, but come on here every day and put in the work. You know, we're going to try and reward those people and get them into a place where they can feel comfortable making some executions. So that's what I'm trying to do. And then, like I said, closer, once the company grows and expands a little bit, the bigger the profits that come into the company, the more we can get back to the trading community, and we can look to do maybe some cash accounts or something like that where we could do giveaways. And right here on Tradecaster and on my personal account, Policing Pips, that's where I'm going to be doing my giveaways. I'm going to try my best to provide people who watch my stream the best opportunity to follow along with what I do and get funded, get paid out, make some money. So if you go over to Day Trading Coffee Company, like I said, if you do like coffee, it's great coffee. It's all roasted at order, so it's fresh. And we have roasts for everybody. And like I said, a portion of every profit goes towards the funding fund, is what I'm calling it for now, where I am going to get people who are dedicated to trading, who can't quite afford that initial barrier to entry or a little bit underfunded, and we're going to try and fund those traders. So that's what we're doing. And like I said, hopefully closer to the holiday season, we could do some big sales, we could do stuff like that, and we can get people, once we get some bigger orders in, maybe do a cash account, start some people off the right way, teach you how to set up that account. I'm not going to just, here's $5,000 or whatever. Maybe we're going to work with a brokerage, see if we could load it into that account and get you into that brokerage set up correctly, looking to trade that account properly, and go from there. Be able to get traders funded and follow their journeys a little bit, and give back to the community that I love so much as far as trading and coffee. We are getting a little bit of divergence here. Tried to make new lows, tried to push down, and you're getting that little bit of like a hump here. If we do break this down, I'm going to get rid of these lines here. I don't like when there's too many of them going on. These aren't important. The delta lines aren't important unless I'm actually actively using that delta at that time. So really, like, you want to see if this thing does try to crack the lows, you want to see this delta act in confluence and also crack the lows. If you start to see this thing push up and the price is pushing down, sort of like how it is now, delta staying pretty flat. You're not getting a lot of new participants wanting to join this as a sell side, right? So you're not really getting that. You're getting a little bit further of a push to maybe get this thing to rotate. Again, like I said, you're getting that push from that 525. You're getting Apple and Microsoft to bounce off of 406.20, and Apple looking to bounce off that low, and Nvidia has been range bound, but it cracked the low of the range, didn't quite get a huge follow through, and now it's at the bottom end of the pre-market liquidity, so could possibly get a bounce from there as well. So look, like, these are the things you need to watch on these levels of these major players, the highest market cap in the NASDAQ, and check and see. I'm going to leave Apple up. If that divergence that you're getting here is going to play along, or if this delta starts to flush with like a big strong push, then you get that break of 25, then you may get that continuation. But we're up all right here today on the day, starting the week off right, up 345. We've gotten ourselves out of the hole that we dug from last Wednesday. So now also you're getting that congruent here. If Delta trying to make new highs, price is trying to make new highs, Delta also looking to try and make new highs. If it does break that there, then that's congruent. You're getting new buyers. They're pushing up, trying to be strong. If you don't get this to break here, this rally here, this pop, this could fail and rotate that way too. So it works in both directions, right? You get a higher low, you push up. So now we're getting a higher high. Delta's kind of congruent. So this move could still continue on to the upside. You're building more and more momentum with this as you're pushing these highs. So that's important to note. We are approaching that breakout point of this little wedge pattern. So if you do get a full breakout, you could look to see that thing play out. Like I said, it's a range bound day. Today and tomorrow will stay pretty tight, I think, with the earnings and the Fed meeting on Wednesday. So just these are the things you got to ask yourself while you're looking at these plays. Just kind of keep that in mind. What's up, Trade Tactician? Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns with this kind of tight price action? I don't have a lot of good entries for myself, right? My strategy that I pretty much preach on here that I do is I fade extremes. I look to, take a big end, the high end of a move or low end of a move. I use daily levels. I use previous session high, previous session low, overnight high, overnight low. And then I use key liquidity zones like these on a longer time frame. And then I pair them all together and I look to try and fade those, because a lot of times breakouts are going to fail. You're going to get a breakout, it's going to fail, and it's going to rotate. And I want to be part of that little piece where I can get a more confident view of what's going on and be able to capitalize on it quickly and take my money and run. I'm not, especially with funded accounts, you can't be swing trading. So I'm not looking to get involved in multi-day moves. If I can get involved in a couple hour trend after fading an extreme, that'd be fantastic. But my strategy is purely, take a piece of that fade where people are starting to take profits, or people are starting to get a little weary, or that's where big money wants to get in. Take a piece of that off, and then grow the account, build up, and go from there. So that's what I look to do. Now that we have two funded accounts, we can, not that I'm going to be any more or less aggressive. The only issue is, like, I have been trade copying over to that account. I still do the trade copier with the new funded account once it gets all set up. So we're going to stick to that one contract, and then with the ads, we're going to be a little tighter. We're going to take some profits off quick. Once we do build a buffer on the other account, then I can start to add in contracts. but with the 50K, the daily drawdown is only 1,000 and the max drawdown is 2. So got to be a little bit more. I'm going to play it a little tighter with the 100K as far as drawdown is concerned. So I don't want to blow that other account up just because, you know, we're trading a little bit bigger on that 100K. But overall, if I end the day today up 345, I ain't mad at it. That's a great start to the week. We talked everything out as a team here. So very, very happy with what's going on to start the week. Being aggressive, taking our profits when we could. You know, these are all plays that you could have played, right? You know, I missed this one. I called it out. Like I said, I was looking for that one more pop, you know, liquidity grab. Didn't get it, but only because I didn't trust what was going on with the S&Ps breaking new highs, and Apple and where Apple and Microsoft were on their charts. It was kind of prone for like a false breakout type play. So I didn't take this one, but I took the next one on that fake breakout. And then everything else has been really kind of tight for the rest of the day. So we did take this first one, which was the best trade. We didn't add to it or anything like that. If we would have, we could still really technically be in it if we were that kind of trader. If I would have taken that short from that fake breakout and then added here that second contract, could have took the first off here. And then as we progress down, you trail this. I really would have never been still involved in this. I'm not a whole day trader. If you get a big flush like this, after you take that one contract off, if you're trailing through this, you know, as it moves to these levels, you're just securing profits on that. You know, that's a great trade if you could have executed that properly. I only have one contract on, first trade of the day, first trade of the week, looking to try and trail this down as momentum played. Didn't quite get to that VWAP or opening range high, so we got trailed out just above the key level, which was good because we would have got probably freaked out and stopped out at break even. So we secured that first bit of profit. That's my strategy. I'm looking to take profits kind of quick. So, you know, I'm never going to really hit these crazy home runs unless price really melts in my favor pretty fast. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, get involved, comment any kind of concern over on Tradecaster. If you're on YouTube and haven't been to Tradecaster, hit the link in the bio. Sign up for the 7-day free trial. After that, it's still free. You know, you don't have to pay for it if you don't like it. I think there's a great value in it, especially if you're looking to trade multiple different types of assets. Like I trade futures on here, but if you go over into the lobbies, you have Dekmar over there trading penny stocks and crushing it and live stream and everything. He's very energetic. If you want that kind of action, go over to him. I'll show you some of these lobbies actually in the for the YouTube people so they can go over there and take a look. We are looking at these lobbies here and just make sure that we're on there. Yeah, we are on there. So you can see my lobby here. You got Dekmar. He's trading options, but I think he also is trading penny stocks and stocks. So just check the rooms, make sure. But if you're over here, you can always see all these new traders that we got going on. You got AK-47, great trader. You got Yeah Buddy. All these guys looking to trade live every day. If you're bored with me, you go over to Deck. If you are done with stocks and futures and you want to go over to stocks or something, check out some of these other rooms while you're on your trial. See what kind of value you can get. One good trade could pay for your lifetime membership, so it's really worth the value. It's a community of traders by traders. You know, everybody here is looking to help out the community. We're not looking to steal from other, all the other streams. I would love for you to come in because of me and then go over and watch Deck all day because he's super entertaining and provides so much value, right? So that's what I'm here for, part of the team. Head over to Tradecaster and enjoy that. So here's Tradecaster. Here's my lobby. You can see our stream is here. We got a chat. I got all my alerts here at the top. Just some information about what the stream is. You got a chart here, so you don't have to really leave the screen. If you don't have that much screen space or whatever, you can always pull up the chart, the economic calendar. I'll have it up here, and just some basic stuff. You know, I'll add some information here and there just to keep everybody abreast of the situations that I have going on. Like I just alerted my coffee company there. You know, you can check it out. Policing pips for 15% off. use code Policing Pips for 15% off. There you go. So now you can see this is what we got going on here at TradeCaster. Very useful. The alerts go there. The alerts go here. You can see who's watching. You can interact with everybody. It's really a pretty great place for, avoiding all the fluff of YouTube. Everybody in TradeCaster is very, very determined to be helpful and not trying to sell you stuff and be scammy and get you into there's courses in here. You can come in here and check out people's courses, videos, right? You can check these out. That's part of the membership. So you're not trying to get more stuff on top of more stuff on top of more. It's a place where you can go and get everything about trading right at your fingertips. So we're looking here. You got that breakout of that little wedge. Is it going to be a confirmed breakout? We didn't get that. We got a little new high, but quite, the delta's now pushing down pretty hard. So you may be looking at people to fade this this breakout here. Just be mindful of that. I don't see anything that I'm really super interested in taking right now. Just you see this price action has slowed down quite a bit. Even on that breakout there, didn't have that gusto that I would look for in if I was a breakout type trader. We are sitting at the top end there. That's approaching the bottom of our liquidity zone for this longer time frame. If we're going to stay range bound for the week, we still didn't clean up that overnight high. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does push all the way up into here, fail a breakout of the zone, and then rotate to the downside. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if it fails right here because of the lack of follow through in this push higher after breaking out of such a tight wedge pattern, right? People who play these wedges expect this to break out and be like a very strong move pretty quickly. It almost entices me to take a short off of it just because I feel like the follow through is piss poor. And you got Apple approaching that 191, could fail that. Microsoft still sitting right at that 406.20 level, right? It just hasn't picked a direction. It's just sitting on there. It's got earnings coming up. I don't really see anything that's going to help us here. Nvidia rolling over, maybe that little bit of a confluence. Apple failing that spot right there, and Microsoft maybe looking to break down from 14, but I don't think it has a ton of room to go. So you have that risk that you could limit there, sitting above VWAP, right on top of this opening range high. Yeah, it's a cheap trade. Yeah, delta divergence is there. Yeah, the Microsoft and Apple are kind of at levels where they want to break down. Nvidia is being cooperative, but this didn't break with any sort of power either to the downside, right? If you're going to break this level again after trying to break it and fail, you would expect this to kind of want to roll over hard quick, but it's not. And then this being a failed breakouts tend to fail hard and fast. You do have price speeding up, but look at all this volume here, right? This is where price has been all day. So these volume nodes are going to act as resistance here. So maybe it will build some liquidity. Maybe if you fail below 43, then you get that full push down. But this was the initial failed breakout through 25. Rotate through, fail this wedge breakout, now rotate back down. Purely a choppy range bound day. And you just have to recognize what type of day it is and then adjust your trading strategy for that day. If you don't have any sort of plan for this type of day, your best bet is to walk away, right? If you can't trade a chop range type day and you don't have a strategy that calls for, false breakouts, right? My strategy really, I could have took that short up there and been pretty confident in it because of the way it just didn't push through. I'm okay with this kind of day where it's chopping around because I don't know if this is even going to follow through on this end, right? Because now we've just reaccepted right back into the middle of this opening range. yeah, we can go right back down to the value area. This tight value area doesn't provide the opportunity. I know I say I look for quick little pieces of moves, but this isn't at an extreme. You know, the 60 was important, but really more important is higher up. And if I'm going to risk any of the profits that I took today, I needed to be at a much higher point or a much lower point on the day. You know, I'm not going to just play with this middle of the chop to risk some of the moves, some of the profits that I've already made, just to potentially make like a quick little hit because of the follow through. The potential for follow through is not there, right? It may seem like I'm just trying to take these quick little hits, but there is potential for follow through, right? All the way to the downside. You know, these do from the highs have potential to roll over. Now, I don't have that same conviction because we failed to break down once. We failed to break out here. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to rotate all the way down? Probably not. We're probably just going to come back here and chop around. So my risk to reward, yes, in theory, I could have grabbed some of that move there, but I'm not at a location where I'm limiting my risk in the appropriate manner, because even though this does seem like a false breakout, it could also just be get some longs involved, stop them out, and rotate and continue on to the upside, right? So I don't see the potential for this thing to melt off the table. And those are the kind of moves that I want to be involved in because, yes, I can get my risk off quick if I add on a second contract, or if I have just one on and I get to break even and then things continue to melt, and then I can trail out. And then I have potential for really big gains. But if I don't see that as a potential for that move at that point, then I'm not going to take that trade. And that keeps me out of some of this choppiness, especially once I'm up a decent amount, right? We are 5 minutes to a 30-minute close. Also, that is not as important to me. The hourly close is more with that 5-minute rule. But like I said, I'm not convinced right now, so I'm not going to take it. I'm going to take a 1-minute break, and I'll be right back. All right. So see the kind of chop that we're involved in here. There's just nothing that to me says, let's take this and limit our risk, right? That's really all we are doing is limiting our risk. If you can get look at that delta though. That's really pushing hard to the downside. Price is not playing along. So the delta divergence also works the opposite direction. If you're getting that hard delta where it should be selling off really, really hard from that, using that confluence, and it doesn't, you may look to see this thing bounce because you're not getting a hard flush, right? You got a low here, but no low there. And now you're a higher low in price, but Delta tried to push down and you didn't get the same kind of selling pressure in the price action. So that could lead to a bounce play here. Just be mindful of that. If that's something you're looking for, the divergence works in both directions for me. All right. There's that bounce, right? From that delta, not the delta divergence from that end. Really, I'm going to put the bull out. It's bullish time. Coffee bull. But the price action is pretty bullish as well. Purely based on that divergence there. You get that crack now above here, you will get that thing, the price to break. You could see it here too. Microsoft came down hard right to that 20 and then broke out. So now you're looking to see this thing continue to break out. I am gonna guess that Apple is also doing the same. Yeah, it's bouncing, and Nvidia probably following along as well. So there's your answer on that. That would have been a really, realistically, as far as the breakout is concerned, that right there could have been your entry criteria. For me, no. That's not part of my strategy. Yes, I at times may have taken that purely based on that divergence, because that does give us a little bit more of a confidence on this thing trying to push up and be more powerful, because without that thing pushing down, if it, that many sellers are coming in pushing down that hard, and that's just like people selling, market sells, market sell, market sell, market sell. But there's some guy here on the bid holding this thing up, right? Somebody's holding this up for this many sellers to come in and just get attacked, right? Attack. Bid it up, bid it up, bid it up, bid it up. So it held. That little push, failure to break that low, really tells us that there is a buyer here. There is some support. Be mindful of it. You could push to the high side. So you would have actually been able to limit your risk pretty good, basically to this low here. Risk 150 and look to enter just above there. Have your risk mitigated, already be up 2-1 on it, and then possibly look to see if this doesn't fail this break, slow grind all the way up to that overnight high and clean that up. That's the kind of move that I'll probably anticipate after that kind of rejection. So hopefully that helps somebody who's more of like a breakout type from a wedge pattern, building up higher lows from a false breakdown of a key level of 25. We do have room because we never cleaned it up to that overnight high, but also it's a fucking range bound choppy day. So could just fail this as well and rotate right back down to the bottom. So these are all things you got to understand why price is going the way it's going. I'm not going to take any more trades unless price, for some reason, rips up to here. My stream ends at 11 today, so I don't believe I have enough time for this price to get to here and then fail a breakout, maybe wick out some stops there, maybe get involved up into that zone, and then look to fail and rotate. That's the only trade that I would look to take right now if I was at that overnight high. If we do get there by 11, then maybe, yes, I'll take one more trade. But anything after 11, I'm shutting it down, up 345 on the day. So we're at 69. That was a pretty key point. Bulls are trying to gain control in a choppy range type day. For the NASDAQ to be within a 200 tick day, that's ridiculous. 63 points. Could tell you a lot of information kind of moving forward with everything. nothing doing. Really just kind of waiting and seeing here. If price can get up to the overnight highs, that's where I would look to fade it. I'm not really looking to fade anywhere in the middle of this zone. The 69 level was important this morning, once, twice. We played that breakdown once. It broke down that from there 2 times, 3 times. So this will also be an important spot. Longer term, this does feel like if this was a different type of day, that this would end up rotating higher faster. But like I said, with the way the week has really kind of progressed, moving forward, right, with like the earnings tomorrow, the earnings come Thursday, the Fed meeting on Wednesday. I've brought it up a few times, but I'm bringing it up for anybody who hasn't been around for the day. We are looking to see this day, today and tomorrow, likely to stay choppy within this range. Really, I'd say between these two zones, and now realistically, it seems like it just wants to hold above 525. So really, it's a super tight range that we're going to be expected to be in until we get more information come post market tomorrow. With tomorrow's earnings is Microsoft, Google, and AMD. So those, plus their forward guidance, should give us a little bit of a pop either in or out of this zone. However, expect it to stay tight again until that Fed press conference, right, on Wednesday. The number release is going to be fine, right? And no cut, no raise. A surprise would be definitely a raise in rates. So that would affect us. But really, that press conference afterwards and that guidance moving forward could really be important. So just be mindful of that. This is what we're expecting, to stay within the range, stay balanced, and we're going to look to go from there. We're plus 345 on the day. Still just being patient with it, not really going crazy. Trying to get into an entry here at 69. I know it's been important all day, but to play this level right now at this time of day doesn't give me a good risk to reward as far as trying to risk any of my profits. Like I said, even right here, we could have entered into that, but that was really more so just it wasn't a high probability. It's probably more of like a B minus C plus type setup there, just based on the price action failing to break out. This right here would have been a much better entry for some sort of type of entry if you are looking at wedge type breakouts. The breakout, failed break, and follow through with the retest, and then the delta divergence, the opposite direction of how it normally plays out, right? Where you get that full push down and delta breaking lows and price holding up, meaning there's a larger buyer here at this level holding up those market sellers, those short-term sellers, like what I would be considered, right? So that's what this delta is really showing, like a little bit of shorter-term sentiment. That's why I like to use it. You could have got a buy in there or limited your risk to the bottom of this wick and then rotated, hopefully, potentially all the way up to the highs, but reasonably. My short bias, my range bound idea here to risk the 345 that we have already positive on the day. We would want this price to be up here at that 17,000 level there. Let's go. Hell yeah. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back. New boot goofing. Love that. Looking for this price, though, to go all the way up to the overnight high before I'm looking to get entered in. Anybody who looks to be a breakout type trader, that is that would have been your entry there. However, don't expect a huge follow through in this range bound choppy day before earnings. Like I said, tomorrow and Wednesday, we are looking to see that Fed meeting be the real kicker in the week to start getting us out of this range. So I think over the next 2.5 days, you're going to see that. If you're bored of me, you can always head over to Deck and check out his stream where he's going wild. He's new boot goofing, sending over those awesome GIFs, however you pronounce it these days. But like I said, slow price action. If you feel like you need to jump in or jump out of trades, I would look to avoid it at this time. It's not ready to pop. It's not ready to melt off. If it does, and you magically are involved, good for you. But to me, it doesn't seem like it's lending itself to being a very profitable type day where you're gonna really, if you get in here, you really don't have any reason to, other than that it sold off from here earlier and that it's range bound. But realistically, you're not limiting your risk because of this kind of breakout from this wedge. You could still rotate all the way to the highs. I'm only streaming until 11, so I don't know if I'm going to get my entry because I really want to see this overnight high cleaned up. And, securing the profits for the day, starting the week off right. Yes, I said I'm going to be aggressive, but I said I'm going to be selectively aggressive. I'm going to look for that pitch that I want to hit, and I'm going to hit it. I'm going to take that hack at it, but I don't have that pitch yet. We're still looking, that ball's in the dirt right here. Elevate and celebrate is what we're looking to do. Currently, nothing doing. Like I said, when it comes to futures for me, I do use a lot of confluences. I like to use the equities. NVIDIA is selling off kind of hard here. We are right at that 60 level. That is very important for me. But it's not important enough where we don't believe that we can push through this zone up, clean up that overnight high and work off of that, especially with Apple being at its lows, potentially looking to, do another type of bounce like this where we stay range bound, rotate off these highs. Yes, sir. I'll send you that email at 11. You see Apple rotating that low, pushing up to the highs, possibly from here. That will maybe help get us up into that zone where we can to short, but I don't think I'll get there before my stream is over and I'm off the charts. Microsoft still pushing up to these highs, nothing doing to tell us that we're going to rotate over. I don't know if we're going to get to highs on the day. Like I said, still with the earnings tomorrow, could just stay in that range. And NVIDIA chopping around at the lows, could rotate higher still, so could push us up even further. S&Ps pushing back towards that overnight high again, once again looking to try and break that out. Has been kind of leading us for the day, so it could push us even further. Looking to crack above 69, and then I want to try and get this thing up to that overnight high to maximize my reward potential and minimize my risk to the high side, because I don't believe anything that is done or said today, aside from some breaking news, is going to push us up to highs, through highs. There's no reason for it. There's no reason to be up in that range today. We are out here. We're looking to get people involved in this. If you like the stream, like it, subscribe to it. If you're on YouTube, go to Tradecaster, check the link, 7-day free trial, free 99. You can check out all the great streamers, not just myself on a slow day like today. I'm sure with the equity side, there are plays to be had that aren't involved in the earnings. And, that's kind of the one thing about, if you're trading a very specific product, just understanding the nuances to it and knowing what days are better to trade and what days are not, what days are going to be choppy, what days are going to break out, reasons why things are going to happen. When it comes to the equity side, there's hundreds and thousands of stocks that you can go and look and pick something. There's going to be an opportunity somewhere. So that's the beauty of stocks. Futures, there are many different instruments that you could go bounce around to, but you really have to understand the nuances of each instrument and understand your risk to rewards and, what's going to take it to a next level, what might drive it, what kind of news, because everything is affected a little bit differently in the futures market. I like the equities futures, so I can have that confluence with these, products, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, get involved with these big names, have them be useful in my decision making, but also understanding that some days it's not going to be as good as others. So we are in that liquidity zone. So we do have an opportunity where we could roll over from here if we fail 60 again to rotate back to 25, right? If you fail 60, you fail this breakout here again at 69, rotate back down to 25. Yes, I think that is a good opportunity here, but I don't, like I said, I'm not willing to risk this being not quite the right time when we could still clean up that overnight high with the way we grabbed the liquidity down here earlier and the way this price action was able to hold on that delta push. So these are the things that I'm thinking about as I'm in a trade or as I'm looking to possibly attempt to get into something, right? Price action, yes, is going to slow down here. There's going to be buyers and sellers battling it out here, but I don't know for sure. We never know for sure, right? That's trading. We never know for sure, but I don't trust this to be the time that we're going to fade this as the high end of our range right now. And especially going into, for me, it's going to be 11 o'clock, end of the stream. It's 12 o'clock Eastern time. It's lunchtime. People tend to walk away around that time. So price action is going to do some things a little bit differently come that 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock hour, wherever you are located, East Coast or Central Time or West Coast or whatever time it is for you. That time is lunch hour on the East Coast. That's where most of the people are focused on their timing. So just be mindful of that, that this could just kind of grind up until that point. Like I said, realistically, what I love if we got there and executed on something, I would love it. It would be great to get to that point to fade it, but I don't know if we're going to get there yet. S&P's is pushing those pre-market highs. Still up on the day, 345. We took those two trades we took 3 trades. We'll show the little chart once again, account performance. These were our trades for the day. First one we took a nice little, 1-to-1, took some risk off the table. Price didn't play along, so we were out. We got out, we were up. We took one little loss there when we were attempting to take the short. We took it a little early over here. I was trying to kind of front run a rejection of VWAP from this zone, trying to continue this big flush to the downside. Being it was a range bound type day, I kind of called out that I was going to get stopped on it kind of quick, but I wanted to take the chance on it just in case I was being a little aggressive. Went down a little bit on that. Then we saw the rejection above. We took the short from the value, the opening range high. Then we took an add on a breakdown below that as well. So then we took off one contract at our first area of really, prior concern, which was our entry from before. And then once we got down to this level, we were trying to approach VWAP at the time. Not VWAP. Yes, what am I talking about? Out of my mind. Once we failed VWAP, rotated down, got closer to our over the initial opening range low. Gotta clean my words up. We tried to get through there. We trailed a little tight because once we failed that, we kind of rotated up and we didn't want to get stopped out any further, so we secured that profit there. So that overall, that was our last trade. The only thing we've taken so far, and we haven't taken anything else since that. So that was our end of the day, really plus 345. Just sitting at that profit, really trying to maintain what we got for the day on a Monday, on a range-bound day, on a day that normally you'd probably get chopped up if you're looking to try and play breakouts or failed breakdowns here, right? That 25 level I said was important. It is, but it's acting as support. Support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Failed it. 6, 7. Maybe there's a liquidity grab here that rotate us to the high side. If we don't get there in 5 minutes, I can't take this trade because, like I said, I have that rule. I stick to it. Within 5 minutes of an hourly close, I can't take a trade. Just because that close of that hour usually leads to some whippy action, and I have tight risk, so I don't want to get whipped out on an hourly close, just like wick manipulation, somebody taking profits or whatever on their hourly close, right? So I need this price to get up there fast, and it's not really going to do that. It's probably just going to be a slow grind through, and if I don't get my full setup by 10:55, we're done for the day. I could stick around past 11, see if that setup will come out and play around, but realistically, Monday, take my profits, run, and we're just kind of waiting and seeing. So I don't like to. I don't want to give anything back on that kind of play there. Like I said, we got a second funded account today. We earned it. We are now $150K worth of funding. I was just working on 100K account that I've been building off of, but we just passed that combine with a copier, so we're doing pretty well here. We got our combine passed. May enter one more combine this week. We'll see. They didn't send out codes yet, and I'm looking to potentially maximize my free resets and free codes that they're giving away. If you don't know Top Step is a futures funding company. You pay for a fee and you get a combine, and then from the combine you get a chance to earn funding. Like I've been funded all year so far on my 100K account, been taking it slow, was doing pretty well on it, and we had one kind of crappy day on Wednesday last week, but we've bounced back and battled back pretty well since that day. We've been more aggressive. We're looking to stay aggressive, so just be mindful of that. For me, that 69 level is acting pretty good. Hell yeah, nice $35. Money. We're up 345 on the day. We outdid the deck man, who is up 35. Limiting your downside and understanding when it's time to be in and when it's time to be out is how you continue to make money. That's why Deck's been able to do it for so long. He limits his downside risk and he maximizes his reward. He creates the casino, as he always says, right? He wants to be the casino. He doesn't want to be the gambler. So if he could put the odds in his favor, keeping some days green at $35, $35 is great on a day where you definitely feel like you would have lost money. Like last week we were down $1,000 on Tuesday and we battled back to be up 100, but really after fees, we were up, a couple dollars. That's a hell of a day. I would take, being up $5-10 any day of the week as opposed to losing $2,000 like we did on Wednesday last week, just purely based on like being passive aggressive and not taking our setups and being a little bit standoffish on ones that we should have took, and then slightly, not FOMOing, but really being a little more aggressive on trades that we shouldn't have. So being up $35, hell yeah, it's green, baby. Green is green, especially when you can maximize your real winning days on the opportunities like he just broke down. Yeah, I don't think, I got 2 minutes for this trade to present itself. Do you think in 2 minutes I can get a rally and then a secondary wick test with a delta divergence? No, I don't think so. However, I am going to stick on till 11, maybe till 11:05 to see if price does get to that point and then see what it does. But I'm not going to execute. Will not execute because I want to stick to my rules and show you that discipline can drive you forward, especially in this profession. Discipline in every walk of life is going to help you do better in a lot of things. With trading, if you have rules, you need to stick to them, because the one day that you don't is the day that you're going to blow your account. Start your week off right. Start your week off in the green. I got a nice little buffer of $345 for the week that I can now build off of and grow as opportunities present themselves when they arise, right? If I would have tried to get this entry here for a short, I would have been wrong, right? I would have been stopped out because I'm trying to force in something that I know is not going to work if you break your rules and whatnot, right? So just think about that on a day-to-day basis. I want you guys to learn how to be disciplined, because when I get undisciplined is when I start to fail. Microsoft is rallying, Apple's pushing off that low like we expected, and Nvidia is just chopping around at the bottom end of this range here. So like I said, until tomorrow, you're going to get earnings post-market. You're going to be range bound. I don't expect anything to break us out. That's why I think that short off that overnight high is a good short opportunity. But some of those other names also need to play along. So this could still grind. I mean, realistically, it could grind up into here and just stay up here. I don't expect it to be like a super strong breakout and run up to these higher levels. But could we just chop around for a bit before we do roll over? Yeah, and then that doesn't set up for me appropriately, right? I don't expect this to give me that rip run. It's now 10:55. My rules say don't enter a trade 5 minutes up into that hourly close. So now we're hands off. If we're already in a trade and we're managing it and we're already either in profit or, maybe managing a small loss, maybe cut it and then wait to re-enter. Or if we're in, like I said, if we're in profit enough where we can manage that hourly close, that's a different story. Can't look to just get in on an entry within that. But we never even got to where I wanted to get to anyway. So, 10:56. We got 4 more minutes to show this, show its hand. However, I don't think it's gonna set us up. It will get there at some point today, probably, unless we fail this level right here. And that wasn't part of my plan to fail the high of the day. It was to fail the overnight high because we didn't clean it up yet, and the S&Ps did. And most of the time, we're, especially in such a tight range, we're going to clean that up. This slow grind through. So we got 3 minutes left in the stream. Like I said, I'm not going to take any more trades. We're done for the day. Up 345. Great start to the week. I hope that everybody on YouTube checks out Tradecaster, hits up the links, joins up over there. It's a great community. Anybody in Tradecaster, if you have any comments or anything you want to say before I get off in the next 3 minutes, just be mindful. If you're going to stay on, you're going to keep trading on a range-bound type day like this, just be careful. Really wait for your levels to come into play, get that full setup, and then look to kind of, maybe if it's my strategy, look to rotate down to the opposite end of the range. But also make sure that you pay attention to these names like Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia. These are the 3 names that have really been carrying the charts. I'm going to look at Tesla just for fun, but it's been pushing up a little upside. Microsoft chopping around in this zone. Apple also just making another lower high probably. It's going to stay within this range here. So watch it. Be mindful of it. Be careful. Apple does still have room up to that 191.45. So if you do get to our breakout rejection point, right? If you get to 91 and you push through it. Just you have to be mindful. You got to wait to see if Apple is reversing or approaching that 191 level before you take your short. Same thing with Microsoft. Make sure it's not bouncing off a low as you get to the high, because that's going to kind of carry you through. Not so much that we're going to think that we're going to end the day momentum carrying on, breaking out to highs, but there, when you do get to these kind of levels, you have to get your full setup on a day like today, because a slow grind through noon is going to get you washed up and in trouble. So just be careful, mind everything when it's a day like today with this kind of chop, right? To be up for myself, up 345 to start the week in a day where I expected to be range bound, expected to be choppy. I was able to capitalize on a few good opportunities. We secured enough profit to secure another funded account, so we got 2 funded accounts now through Top Step. So I don't know when I'm going to get that second one set up, maybe by the end of the week. And then from there, we're going to look to grow both of those accounts together. I may add another combine just to show you the ability to kind of build a funded account and build into funding to be able to maximize your leverage over some of these accounts. You're going to get that. Look at that. It's 11 o'clock now. We're getting now that push to my level. I want to just see it. Like I said, I'm not going to take this short. I'm going to get off in 5 minutes, no matter what. Looking to see this thing go short after cleaning up that overnight high. You just broke above this previous high of the session and you're failing it. We never got to the overnight high. So be careful taking a short as just because here. Thank you, Deck. I love it. I appreciate the love. I want to make sure that people understand if they are watching, looking to take this short. Yeah. FOMO kicks in. Yeah, absolutely. If you could take small profits, like I'm in the same spot. I think we have, Darth Trader, I think we have very similar zones. I just don't like this time of the day for trading, realistically. If you usually see my stream going on past 11:30, it's only because I have really good setups, or maybe I'm playing catch up and I'm grinding through a morning where I kind of see an opportunity. But on a day today, yeah, volume's low. We could still take out this over. Like realistically, I'm not taking any more trades for the day. I'm taking my profits, same as you. It seems like you're just kind of keeping it small. I wanted this overnight high to be cleaned up. If that doesn't get cleaned up, there's no real entry for me. Even if it does rotate to the downside, we're trying to maximize opportunity in a slower, choppy market with the major earnings tomorrow and with the Fed meeting on Wednesday, Thursday, all the kind of news events that are going to go on. That's going to drive the market later in the week, and we want to have bullets in the gun for those days. A day like today, if I'm already up 345 and I didn't get my full A+ setup before my stream is done, then we're not getting it. We're not doing this. Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat. Like I said, I just want to be careful here because, like I said, with the confluences that I use, you have Microsoft at the bottom end of its little range that it's got here. So if it does start to bounce here and rotate higher, and you get Apple pushing up, still not quite at 191. If we do get to this level here, we might just kind of hold these, this area for a little longer, just purely based on the room that these names have to the upside and the slow kind of grind that they can do for the rest of the day. So yes, I love this short every day other than today, really. I mean, it would be great. It probably will roll over. I just don't have that pure conviction. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a range bound type day, but also it could be a grind up here at the top for a long time. I've seen where price just sits, at my liquidity zone for hours, So for me, like I said, my day is done. I'm going to take my profits and run up 345. Didn't ever even come. I mean, we came really close right there, but we didn't come close with enough time within my rules to take that execution to go short. We would need a lot more of a idea here to get into that short to rotate us back to the downside. And anybody who is looking to take a short, be mindful of how price acted right here when they did this breakout and that delta push, because there was a bigger buyer here holding all these shorter shorter time frame shorts up, right? We got that push up harder after that delta failed. So just be mindful, right? The delta pushed hard. So this level here is going to be a very key line. So if you do take a short and it does play out in your favor, just be mindful of that zone as another bounce spot, right? So if nobody else has anything, I am going to cut my stream here today. I'm going to go work on some other things. We started off the week great, up 345. Tomorrow, we're going to look to come back, do the same thing, capitalize on the markets, watch what our overnight levels are. I want to see how we do. I'm more of a scalper per se. I do want to go for bigger moves, Darth Trader. But like let's say with the one we took here, I got in with one and I add a second contract as it's moving in my favor. Usually, if I add one, I scalp that first contract off at a pretty key level pretty fast, and then I look to see if I can trail my add further and further down. So yes, I'm a scalper in the sense where I'm in and out pretty quick, especially if I only have one contract like today to start the day, early in the day. I'm just trailing this move and working on price action, trying to get it to tell me if it's going to break through or not, and then I secure my profits. When it comes to when I have more than one contract on and I'm shedding, I usually am very aggressive with that first take profit. I'm taking off money off the table and I'm letting that one contract work for me. I wanted to see this thing break down, and if it did, I was just going to kind of trail it. So I got stopped out on my trail, right, at this level here. So, yeah, I would love to hold for longer moves, especially with the NASDAQ. I think you just have to be really, really good with timing, and a lot of times it has a lot of these false breakdowns, false breakouts, and if you have an appropriate trailing strategy, you can hold this move, right? Let's say this one, you said you were going to take this long off this liquidity zone and a false breakdown at the 25 level, and you added a second count. Let's say you added here and then you added as it went into the opening range. You took one off maybe up here. You really have no reason that you couldn't just continue to trail at your break even, and then kind of maximize these points where you're saying, all right, if it's going to continue on with any sort of force, it should stay here and hold above this level. If you go back and watch my Friday trade, like at the very end of the day, you can go on YouTube, it's on there, and just check that last trade out that where I kind of shorted off of this level here. It's still on here. Shorted off this level here, got one on, got one a second on, and I got one off here. And then I started just trailing as it went in my way. And then realistically, once it got to this level right here, that was my, anything below here is gravy, right? So I tried to trail that down. We ended up getting ticked out there, and then it rotated down further. But realistically, I was happy with catching that move there, not getting greedy, and just having good trailing rules. So yeah, realistically, I would love to have held this thing all the way to where I was thinking that it was going to go. But, being done and out and taking my money and running, you can't go wrong there. So I'd say I'm more scalpy, I want to be able to capitalize on those moves, and I see those moves happen from extremes, right? So that's why I call myself a scalper, in the sense that, yes, I take profits pretty quickly and I limit my losses very fast, right? I want to set my stop where I'm going to be wrong quick, and I'm going to be out. But also, as price moves in my favor, I am going to secure. A lot of people don't like to go to break even kind of quick, but with the futures, going to break even, it's not like, how I started. I'm policing pips, right? I started in FX. Everything was pips, and, you had a lot of these spreads. NASDAQ and S&P, the spreads are not happening, right? It's one tick. There's the bid and the ask are right on top of each other, and that's how it's going to be unless you're going to get a crazy whippy news event, and that really, I'm not going to be involved in that as far as putting my stop at break even and whatnot, and being afraid that a spread is going to get me out, right? Even on equity side, you can get a couple cents or even $1 in spread between the bid and the ask, and you're going to get stopped out if you're moving. But with futures, especially NASDAQ and the S&P, I'm pretty quick to secure my break even plus some, cover my fees, and I'm willing to get stopped out to be able to catch that move that I caught on Friday and even today, right? I capitalized on this as much as I thought I possibly could. And, I took off pretty much right at, I gave back $100, but really if that would have continued down, I would have been able to trail and maximize my gains on it. But, I got my ad, I got my first contract off. I got off at a level that I expected. If it broke back above, then we'd rotate back higher, and it did. So, I secure the profits as they come, and I'm pretty quick with it. So that's where my mentality comes into play. No, I use hard stops, especially in the funded account where there's loss limit rules and my risk tolerance is not so wide. Like I'm not trying to risk a ton of money per trade. So I'll always, and most of the time I'm setting stop entries because I want price to move in my direction immediately. So I'll set a stop in and then I'll add, I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to get triggered in, but I'll put my stop pretty close, tight. And then if I get stopped out, I don't mind re-entering and coming back in and doing it again. If I get stopped out on like a wick test or something like that, like if I would have got stopped out on this, that actually gives me some confidence into this thing wanting to roll over. So I probably would have tried the entry and then got my stop up there again. But yeah, hard stops, but I don't usually use hard take profits. The only time I'll do an actual take profit like I did today is if I get a second or third contract on. So if I add more than one contract, that first contract is going to get a take profit at a key level of resistance, just so I can make sure if it bounces off of that, I secure one of them, and then I don't take my full loss. I'll take just the break even on that. So, yeah, especially, if you're willing to risk your own account, if you have a bigger buffer where you have a larger account size and you could handle some of the ebbs and flows of futures trading where it is going to go level to level and work through zones and have a very wide stop, you should always have an emergency stop because there are, there's flash crashes, there's fat fingers, people putting on huge size and markets moving and random news events that could wipe your account out real fast because the leverage in futures is pretty big, right? Like, you could get this thing to move like that in a second and you're already down $900, and that's not something I'm willing to risk on a single trade, right? What's up, Spry Proby? You're just getting on right when I'm getting off. I know you come on now, but I'm not taking any more trades today. I'm done. Up 345. I had a little profit thing there so people could keep tabs on what I got going on. But yeah, just kind of talking through some of my strategy based on Dart Traders Trade questions and whatnot. But I love seeing you in here more than once. I like that. There you go. You got a fair value gap, you ICT type trader. I never really took any courses on supply and demand or anything like that, so I don't have like names for what I do. I call them liquidity zones, but I'm looking to see same things. Yeah. Props give you a lot of rules. However, I appreciate their rules because it does keep you a little more disciplined. It keeps you in the game longer if you follow them correctly. I like Top Step and their rules as far as trailing drawdowns is concerned. The trailing stop does suck, except in Top Step it doesn't trail intra trade or intraday. It's end of day. So if you're with Apex makes you take those things because Apex, as you're in a trade, it trails your drawdown with you. Top Step doesn't do that, so it's an end of day drawdown. Or realistically, if you're realizing losses, then that gives it. So I like Top Step over Apex because I don't want to be up $2,000 in a trade and then give back $500 and then be out because I lost $500 within a trade that I'm profitable on, right? So that's, you just gotta be mindful based on your type of strategy, which prop firm you use. I'm sure Apex does the right thing with payouts and stuff like that, but I've always had a good relationship with Top Step and their funding programs, and a lot of what they do, they've been around for a really long time. Yes, they're trying to make money, but also at the same time, they are trying to keep traders a little bit more disciplined. And the people who do maximize their discipline within the rule set of Top Step, you can make pretty good money on it. And they eventually will A-book you, and they do prove that, which is like an actual fully live funded account. So I know I got a few more people in here that weren't in here before. I did start a day trading coffee company Link is in the alerts. It's in the bio. It's for traders, by traders. Every sale that I make on there, a portion of it's going to go to funding traders. So I'm going to start off by buying combines in Top Step. I'm just going to try and get people into combines, get people funded, try and provide opportunity for them based on the coffee sales. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we can build up bigger sales. And I'm going to look to try and get into cash accounts and possibly partner with brokerages and load into some accounts for people so they can learn. So, Silverback's lurking as well. So anybody lurking, cool. Click on the link in the alerts. Day Trading Coffee Co. You could use my name, Policing Pips, for 15% off any order that you do. And like I said, it's a portion of all those profits are going to go to funding traders. I want to build a community over there where people who love coffee, people who love trading can kind of come together. I'm going to do education on coffee, education on trading. I'll never charge for education. Everything that I do trading wise, teaching wise is going to be in here. What's up, Silverback? How we doing? Oh, I love it. Sick. Hopefully you guys are making money today. I saw that Dart Trading had some good plans. Spy Proby had some good moves there. Everybody posting up. It's a good time. I usually stream. If you look at the top left of my little stream, I don't know if you're on cell phone or not, but in the computer, my hours are up there. I trade from market open 8:30 Central till 11. I'll stay in and chat for a little while longer just to talk to everybody and everything like that. But my trades for the day are done. Up 345. We never quite made it to that overnight high for me to set up within my time frame of my trading. We're approaching it now, but realistically, I'm done for the day. You're just getting flat price action. Everything from the earnings for tomorrow and Thursday, and then Wednesday we got that Fed meeting. So you're not going to get you're going to get a range bound, slow, low volume week for today and tomorrow, and then Wednesday you may get a little bit more. Hey, I'll take that every day of the week. Hell yeah. Green is green. Like I said, 345, 258, anything up there, a couple $100 a day. Can't go wrong with it. Deck is only up $35 on a day, and it seems like he's probably done so. I mean, he might be taking one or two more trades, but there's no reason to go crazy on a day like today. If you start your week off green, build off of that. It's going to be kind of choppy, kind of range bound, pretty grindy, low volume. Nothing that's going to really want me to be involved in it, right? Yeah, it could be rough, but it also could be, if you understand what the days should act like, and if they do act in those ways, then you can maximize your ability to capitalize on it, right? Like how I was able to capitalize, you're able to capitalize on it, right? You got 250 out of the day. It might not be the biggest green day, but it's still a good green day. And if you just take it and don't overtrade it, then you're going to be good. Yeah, look at it. You can see the price action. I do write-ups, so if you click the link in the alerts, it's a Google Doc. I gave access to people. I just typed up how I thought today was going to be range bound up until probably Wednesday. So if you look at that, green is green. We'll take it every day of the week. All you want to do is get green days, leads you to green weeks, and that leads you to profitable months and years. And that just keeps you trading long term. I mean, that's what it's all about. Obviously, it's about making money. And if you can make fucking 10 G's a day, that's great. But the days that you don't lose 2 G's like I did on Wednesday last week, if you could avoid those days, and on a day like today where you're going to get chopped up, then there's no reason to overtrade it. There's going to be opportunities later on the week. No, you can't. It's all about account size too, and your risk tolerance, all that. Reasonably, you shouldn't be trading that kind of crazy size anyway. Yeah. Oh, I've lost so many funded accounts. It's unreal. Yeah, I post that analysis every Sunday. So I work evenings. That's why I usually end by 11, so I can kind of get myself ready for the day. But I post that up Sunday night. I get home from work. I sit down on the computer. I let Sunday's price action kind of tell me a little bit, and then I work back the whole week. I look at news events. I look at red folder news releases, data numbers, and then I build out every Sunday night. And then as I find some information throughout the week, I'll add to that. So if you check it daily, some days that the only thing I really add at the bottom of that, I'll change those every single day. I'll change the NASDAQ levels that I'm looking at: previous day high, previous day low, overnight high, low, and settlement. And I'll change that every single day, but I also post that in the alerts here, so you don't necessarily have to go back to look at that. But if I see a news event or if I see any sort of really key information or a really good trade setup that I like to see, I'll add it to that. Kind of acts as my journal, but also as an analysis for other traders to kind of look through and check out. And then, like I said, I said it earlier in the chat. You guys weren't around, but you don't need a fucking expensive tracking software for your journals. You could use Google Docs just like I do there and just record yourself. You don't even have to stream. You could just record and then look back at your day and say, oh, why did I take that trade, or why did I do this? The expensive trade trackers is cool because you can color code your green and red days and keep track of very specific stats if that's what you're into. But I'm so discretionary and I'm so in a feel of the market that some of those numbers don't really mean much to me. Like, I don't care about my sharp factor or any of those things. I really just want to care about my emotional state on the day. Did I go on tilt? Did I not go on tilt? What kind of caused me to do certain things? And then I go from there. I don't really need all the other information because technically what happened all last week doesn't really matter. If I'm a little bit aggressive in my entries, if I notice that some of my entries aren't playing out, I'll notice that they're not playing out because I'll take a bunch of paper cuts on them. So there was that overnight high getting cleaned up. That's where I would have liked to have taken a short if I was still trading the day. So if you're still here, still looking to take trades, I would look for it to come back to there maybe one more time, wick the high, get a delta divergence, right? Try to get this to come up here but not quite break the highs. Then take that short with the first target being VWAP, and then a rotation down at least to the middle of the range and beyond, probably even to the overnight low at some point. So that would be my trade idea moving forward. I will check the chart later, and if that does play out, fantastic. I'll notate that in my little write-up that I do every week. So just you could keep in mind on that. But as of right now, I do got to cut off. I appreciate you guys coming around here at 11, having a good conversation, building up, the community over here. I like talking about trading, so it's not just about making the money. It is all about making the money. That's what we all trade for, but understanding a little bit of the dynamics of what moves the market and kind of helping other people kind of work it out amongst themselves, and then also talking to people who get it and understand like tilt and all those things that really affect all of us. I really like having that conversation. So if you guys want to come around more often, please do. Please type in there, have conversations, because I like the conversation part of trading, and it also kind of keeps you out of bad trades, right? If you're talking about certain things and kind of working through it as a group, it's going to keep you from just hammering buttons because you're bored. Building the community here is good. So if you guys don't have anything else, I'll be back on tomorrow morning, 8:30. Usually like a couple minutes before 8:30, just kind of showing my levels and getting on the screen and kind of just settling in. I drop off my son at school and then I come on. So I just get everything a little bit ready before I actually hammer out the stream. I try not to trade right that first minute on the open, so I don't need to be on the chart. I can see what's happening and kind of get a better feel for it as the market is progressing. So I don't want to be on much earlier than that, because then I'll get tempted to start executing at pre-market levels that I don't really like to do. I've gotten chopped up doing that, so I don't want to be involved in that. So 8:30 to 11 every day. Yeah, it's risky. I'll take the move if I am at, like, let's say we're at that overnight high and we open and we kind of tick above it and we start to rotate down. If we open on a high and like the overnight low is not too far, or if it needs to be cleaned up, yeah, I'll take that short. Or if it's an overnight low, maybe I'll take that long. But really, if we open middle of a range like we did today, middle range, middle of a zone, like not anywhere near where I really wanted to take an entry, this price action here is not something that I want to take. So I try to avoid it as much as I can. So until tomorrow, like I said, 8:30, we'll be here. Great day, plus 345. Good comment, good conversation. Spreading the word on the coffee. Like I said, use my name here, Policing Pips, 15% off forever, whatever you need. Share it with your friends, family. Click on that link for the market recap, the analysis. Like I said, I'm gonna update that pretty much daily. I gotta hit up Deck. He wants me to talk to him, so we got a conversation to be had. So there you go. You gotta push up above it. Maybe it'll break out and kind of hold, but I'm not playing along with that at all. So, all right. I appreciate you, Darth Trader. Maybe we'll get a Yoda Trader in here later or something too, and we can have a battle. Yeah, now NQ's breaking out, but I think there's gonna be a false breakout, probably a rotation. But if it does continue to break, like I said, that would invalidate our trade. Microsoft is rotating to the high of this little range here, so if it fails that and rotates, then now your short is more congruent. But I gotta get off here because otherwise I'm gonna start looking for more trades. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions or concerns, I'll check through here also periodically throughout my workday when I'm bored of policing. So until tomorrow, I'll talk to you all later.